Hey everyone, if you're enjoying my RM audiobooks, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that hype, and maybe check out my Patreon if you want to support the channel even more. Your support means a lot and helps me keep these coming. Now, sit back and enjoy the story.
10 Girlfriends Who Really Love Belle Cranel Chapter 1, a DanMachi fanfic. Belle Cranel was a 13 years old boy. However, he was not an average 13 years old boy. Belle Cranel was a 13 years old boy who had been rejected by 9 different girls/women. I'm sorry, little Belle. You're cute, but I don't like you that way. What is a girlfriend? You're 10 years too early to woo me, boy. Let me have a word with your grandfather. Those were a few rejections he had gotten from the women and girls around the village. Still, Belle did not give up. His grandfather was always behind him, encouraging with both actions and words. I'm sorry, Belle. Mother told me to stay away from womanizers, a little girl said to him after he confessed one more time. She was his neighbor, and Belle always visited her when he had free time. Suffice to say, Belle had grown fond of her. Unfortunately, Belle had just been rejected for the 10th time in his life. This time by a girl he was close to. With a dejected look, he walked back home. His grandfather was waiting for the result of his latest attempt on the front door. How is it, Belle? Got a girlfriend yet? I got rejected again. Don't worry, Belle. Tomorrow you'll get one for sure. Belle looked up at his grandfather with a deadpan look. At this point, I'm very sure I'm in the village's gossip mill. That just means more exposure. Now everyone will know you're looking for a girlfriend. I'm sure those who are interested in you will accept you. That words managed to lift up Belle's spirit. You're right, Grandpa. Thank you. I won't give up. That's right, Belle. Never give up chasing women. One at a time. Soon you'll get a harem. Grandpa. I said I don't want a harem. Belle shouted with an embarrassed face. True, he followed his grandfather's advice to get a girl, but even he knew getting more than one was trouble. He still didn't understand why his grandfather always insisted on him having a harem. But Belle, harem is a man's romance. To him, having just one person to love for his entire life is enough. His obsession with getting a girlfriend/love stemmed from a single conversation back when he was 8. He asked his grandfather about his parents. Usually, his grandfather always avoided talking about them, but that one time, for some reason, he spoke up about them to Belle. Starry-eyed, Belle listened to his grandfather's tale about how his parents met, how they loved each other, and how happy they were to have him. It evoked something inside him. Grandpa, will I get to meet my love one day? Of course, Belle. However, your love wouldn't fall on your lap without any effort. You have to try to get them and never give up. Since that day, Belle had spent so much effort to get close to the girls/women in his village. His intention was to get the love of his life as soon as possible. The sooner he had it, the sooner he would feel happy with the girl he loved. But all was for naught, as none considered him seriously because of his age. 10 different girls/women in 5 years, and nobody took his confession seriously, even though he spent so much time getting close to each girl/woman. Belle, how about you pray to the shrine near the mountain? I heard it's a shrine of a goddess of love. Belle frowned upon hearing his grandfather's words. Come on, Grandpa. Even I know that abandoned shrine has no deities watching over it. His grandfather had a sly smile. Who knows, Belle? The next day, out of curiosity, Belle approached the old and run-down shrine. He had no expectations, but he had already been rejected 10 times, so anything to let him escape the feeling of a broken heart was welcomed. He arrived at the abandoned shrine. As its name implied, the place had been abandoned for a long time. The wooden construct was so fragile Belle didn't dare take a step on the stairs. It truly was abandoned. He couldn't see how deities would watch over such a run-down place. His attention was grabbed by a small stone near his feet. Crouching down, Belle examined it, twirling it around, before concluding that it was a stone carving of the love symbol. Hi, this was really a goddess of love shrine. He pocketed the stone carving. Maybe with them, he'd have better luck meeting the love of his life. Before he left, though, he circled around the shrine one more time. His eyes landed on a small stone altar being strewn aside. Taking a closer look, Belle approached it. A hole. It was suspiciously shaped like the stone carving he had pocketed just before. That could just be a coincidence, but this was just too suspicious. What will happen will happen. Belle took out the heart-shaped stone and put it in the hole. 1 second, 2 seconds. Nothing happened at all. Belle shrugged. Let's just leave. However, when he turned his back on the altar, a bright light suddenly came from it, prompting Belle to turn back after the light died down. Ah, it's been so long since I've been out of the altar. Ohohohoho. A disembodied voice came from it and took Belle's attention. In front of his eyes was a floating light in the shape of a big ball. Tell me, human. Are you the one freeing me? Belle gaped. Was this the start of his adventure? Releasing an ancient spirit who granted him power? Or, the ancient spirit is evil, and he had to make up for releasing it by sealing the evil spirit himself lest the world turns to ash. Belle's eyes shone up in delight. Yes. Either way, he'd have an exciting adventure. The spirit of love, thank you for your great effort. Belle wanted to say it was no effort, but he just nodded. As a gratitude, I shall grant you my blessing. Ohohohoho. The ball of light shone a little, forcing Belle to close his eyes before he opened them again after a while. You shall know whether someone is your soulmate or not simply by meeting their eyes. Soulmate, meeting their eyes. Indeed, ohohoho. But that is not all. It has been 10 years since I last see the wider world. Therefore, you shall have 10 soulmates. Belle raised his hand. Can I have just one? Silence. What are you saying, you fool? Who in their right mind would reject more than one soulmate? Are you stupid? The spirit stammered, caught off guard by Belle's request. I mean, I'm still immature, Belle scratched his cheek. Of course, if I have a soulmate, I'd make her happy. But I'm not greedy. Having just one is enough, I think. As long as we have each other, right? Belle smiled at the light. Gah! Why is it so bright? Belle looked around. The only source of light was the spirit. He did not see anything else shining brightly. Very well. You have shown me such a strong character in you. Because of that, I will still give you 10 soulmates because you deserve it, damn it. Your smile is too precious. If I just limit it to one, who knows how many girls will have their hearts broken by you and die of loneliness. Belle blinked. Wait, what? The spirit also blinked. It was interesting as the ball of light turned transparent before suddenly shining again. Oh, I didn't tell you? I've woven your red strings of fate. Now you're connected to 10 other girls. If you reject them, they won't ever meet anyone else. Belle gasped. That's too cruel. Well, sorry for not having the power to unbless someone. You're a lame spirit. And I thought I could start my adventure by accidentally releasing an ancient spirit of evil and have a great adventure to seal it back or something. Sorry for not being an ancient evil spirit. It didn't sound sorry at all. Whatever. You can do anything you want. Leave your soulmates to die of loneliness or love them all or whatever. It's out of my hand now. You don't have a hand. My metaphorical hand. Belle wanted to retort, but a glare from the spirit shut him up. So yeah, you can scram. Shoo. The spirit floated away. He hoped it wasn't lying when it said it wasn't an ancient evil spirit. So Belle put aside the weird conversation and returned to the village. While at first, he took the ball of light's words seriously. After it shooed him away, he decided not to take it seriously. After all, what kind of spirit would be angry after he was trying to lighten up its blessing? Time passed, and his grandfather passed away. Couldn't handle the loneliness, Belle decided to head to Orario to become an adventurer and find himself a girlfriend. His parents met there, after all. So it felt correct to follow in their footsteps. Belle was thrilled. He had just gotten a fauna. Now he could properly register at the guild and enter the dungeon. He did not expect his goddess to be so poor they lived inside an abandoned church, though. Oh well, everything else can take slow steps. The most important thing was that he joined a familia. Humming a happy tune, Belle entered the Pantheon, where the guild conducted its business. He patiently waited in line. It wasn't long until it was his turn. Excuse me. I'd like to register to be an adventurer. Belle looked towards the guild worker waiting for him. She was actually quite beautiful. Zing. It was really unexpected. At first, Belle was just looking at her to pay respect. It wouldn't be polite to talk without looking at the person, after all. But then it was suddenly like his body was struck by a lightning spell. At that moment, Belle knew that the woman in front of him was his soulmate. That spirit really did bless him. It was just that he had not met his soulmates for the past year. Chapter 2. When Inatul woke up this morning, she expected it to be her typical day in Orario. Sorting through documents for the guild. Advising some of her adventurers. Then she'd take a break and talk with her friends before continuing her work and finishing the day, sleeping away her fatigue. Next, she called to the waiting line. "Excuse me. I'd like to register to be an adventurer." Ina nodded and took the blank registration parchment. Just before she offered it to the new guy, their eyes met. He was a white-haired boy with such clear ruby-light eyes. Zing! It was like a shock ran through her body. This was the first time she had felt like this in her 19 years. "Ba dump. Ba dump." Her face heated up. She couldn't stop the rosy blush that appeared as she looked straight at his cute face. Was this the infamous falling in love at first sight? Ina shook her head. No. She was a professional. She couldn't have fallen in love. Yeah, it must be something else. Please complete this form." Ina offered the paper in her hand. The boy filled it completely. From there, she knew his name was Cranel, and he was 14. Goodness, Ina. 5 years younger. She couldn't have fallen in love with someone so young. "Please come back here tomorrow," she finished with a smile. She looked at the boy, who blushed and avoided looking at her. Cute. Could it be that he was falling for her too? No, Ina. Be professional. He was 5 years younger than her. Remember that, Ina. Miss. Ina. Inatul. Miss Ina. The boy looked at her thoughtfully. Can I change something in the registration form?" Ina blinked. "Sure." Ina returned the form to Belle, who immediately crossed some part of the document and wrote something besides it. Here, Belle presented the form to her, with a smile adorning his cute face. That actually made her blush a little. Taking the form, Ina looked over the correction section. She let out a small gasp when she read it. The corrected section was the advisor request part. Originally he wanted an elf, but he crossed it out and changed it to Miss Ina. Aww. That made her heart race. She wouldn't lie. The boy wanted her to become his advisor for adventuring. "Thank you, Belle," she smiled. "As I said before, please come back tomorrow." Belle nodded. "See you tomorrow, Miss Ina," he shyly waved toward her. Ina smiled and waved back, not wavering her eyes from his form until he completely left the pantheon. A touch from someone broke her out of her thought. Kia. It was Miss Ha who grinned at her. "Miss Ha. Pay attention, Ina. The next adventurer is already here," she pointed out to the guy, who looked a little frustrated, having to wait for Ina to focus. I am sorry, Mr. Adventurer. How can I help?" And so, Ina continued her day. Unaware of the thing that was going to happen tomorrow. "Goddess, I'm home!" Belle shouted as he entered the church's basement a few hours after the sunset. "Belle!" She jumped to hug him. For some reason, his goddess was very clingy. Maybe because he was her first familia member? He didn't know. "Oh, right. I just asked Hephaestus about updating a fauna, and she said I should try it." "Wanna try, Belle?" "From what you explained, there won't be any changes, right? Since I haven't gone to the dungeon at all." "Yep, I want to try it so I won't mess up." Hestia released him. "Open your shirt, Belle, Fufu, let me savor the sight." Yes, Belle said, feeling exasperated. Lying on the bed in a prone position, he let his goddess climb onto his back. "Let's see." Hephaestus said, a drop of blood like scribing the fauna, but Belle felt her finger touch his back. Different gesture. The finger spread the drop of blood on his back. Oh! It really changed. What? Belle tried to look at his goddess. "What happened, goddess? What is this new skill? Deep affection?" "Belle, what did you do to have this appear? Wait. Let me transcribe it to a paper. After a minute, Hestia showed him the status. Everything was still 0 as he hadn't done any adventuring. However, in the skill section, there was an entry. Deep affection. In a tool. There was no other explanation. It was such a mystery what the skill was supposed to be. And what was that name? Except, well. I fell in love. Maybe that's how, he nodded to himself. Blessings of love might refer to that spirit. It really was a spirit, after all. I see, wait. What do you mean you fell in love? What spirit? Belle. Hestia shook his body in a panic. It couldn't be. Her Belle had fallen in love with someone else? Also, what did he mean by a spirit? One explanation from Belle later, Hestia sighed as she sat beside Belle on the bed. So you tell me that you accidentally released a spirit last year, and then it blessed you. Belle nodded. That blessing is that you will know your soulmate by meeting their eyes. Belle nodded again. And it also blessed you with 10 different soulmates. I did ask for only one, but that spirit was whiny and didn't like that I demanded to reduce its blessing. Belle frowned. It sucks. Can't even be an ancient evil spirit to harden my resolve to become a hero. Anyway, you thought it was a scam because you haven't met any for the past year, but it actually triggered today. Yes, Belle replied, then his expression turned into a lovesick guy. Her name is Miss Ina, a guild employee. She's so pretty. Arg, Belle. Are you sure you didn't feel anything when you saw my eyes? Look at me. Belle's ruble-light eyes looked at Hestia's blue ones. But there was no sensation of being struck by lightning. Despite her clinginess and apparent love, she wasn't his soulmate. Ugh. You lame spirit. Why didn't you make me Belle's soulmate? I know, right? At least be an evil spirit I have to seal back. That's not the problem. Hestia sighed. Is there anything else I need to know? Belle scratched his cheek. I don't know if this is true, but the spirit also said they won't meet anyone else again if I reject them. Something about red strings of fate. Oh wait, if it's the legendary red string of fate, then even without meeting me, they would never meet anyone else, would they? That's... Hestia gasped. If Belle did not take them, they would never feel any love from anyone else. Wasn't that too cruel? Tomorrow, you're going back to the guild, right? I'm coming with you. Why? Belle tilted his head cutely. Hestia really did fall in love with him. But she wasn't his soulmate. Oh wait, maybe the spirit couldn't affect her because she hadn't descended a year ago? Gah. Hephaestus was right. She should have come down sooner. I want to meet with this soulmate of yours. Don't you have a double shift tomorrow? Belle pointed out. Gah. I forgot. It's okay, goddess. We'll have our first date tomorrow if everything goes according to plan. Maybe we can visit your stall. He offered with a smile. First date. But instead of reassurance, it only shocked Hestia even more. I can't. She clutched her chest. My Belle is going on his first date 2 days after joining my familia. She shouted hysterically. After her emotion subsided, Hestia looked at Belle. So, you mentioned a plan. Yes, I thought it up on the way back. I'll ask her tomorrow for a date after work. I've scouted several places I can take her. Do you have the money? At that, Belle had a horrified look. There, Hestia consoled Belle, who fell to his knees in despair. No, I can't give up. Having not enough money to buy her a nice dinner doesn't mean I can't have any other way to go on a date. Grandpa said to not give up. Tomorrow I'll ask her for a date for sure. Belle stood up and raised his arm. There you go, Belle. Although I would like that passion directed to me. Now it was Hestia's turn to fall to her knees in despair. Don't worry, goddess. Even if we are not soulmates, I will never leave your side. Belle Cranel will always be a Hestia familia member. Even if one of your soulmates is from a different familia. Come to think of it. This Ina not being an adventurer really works out. What do you mean by that, goddess? Belle turned to ask her. Well, I heard from Hephaestus that cross-familia lovers are rare. They exist but are rare enough that it'd be huge in the rumor mill of the gods. So. It'd be bad if one of your soulmates came from another familia, wouldn't it? There would be a cat fight between the gods about whether they should join which familia to keep their harmony, not to mention their possible offspring. An interfamiliar relationship was not strange, but this was what Hestia heard from Hephaestus and the other deities. I'll take them here, Bel said with conviction. And honestly, that was enough for Hestia. He looked so gallant. Fine, Hestia sighed. That was unfair of you to do that, Bel. Bel blinked his eyes. Do what? Never mind. Hi, Ina, you took on a new adventurer. It was evening when the paper containing the data of Bel Cranel as a new adventurer got a seal of approval from the higher UPS. Tomorrow, Ina would teach Bel all about being an adventurer. Or she should say, all about not being an adventurer who constantly risked their life doing stupid things for stupid reasons. Okay, maybe that was too much. Bel Cranel looked like someone reasonable. Perhaps tomorrow, she will have a good time teaching Bel. Who knows? Unfortunately for Ina, the gossip of her accepting a new adventurer had reached her co-workers' ears before she could clock out. Yes, Rose, she answered with a sigh. How does he look like? Rose continued pestering her. However, Ina knew she wanted to know if her new adventurer could survive. Oh, I saw him. Miss He suddenly entered the conversation. He looks cute. His face was all red when he was talking with Ina. Ah, that rabbit boy. Sophie, another of her co-worker, also entered the conversation. Probably wouldn't last long. Ina somehow felt like she should get angry on behalf of Bel. Wanna bet on how long you think he would survive? Rose had a shark-like grin on her face. 2 weeks, was Sophie's curt reply. I'm not that cruel, probably 1 month, Miss He put on her bet. Betting on a new adventurer's lifespan was commonplace with the guild advisor. It was not a practice born out of malice but rather to cope with the possibilities of another adventurer's demise. If they survived for years, it'd be good news. But if they didn't, everyone had thought so first. The other guild members joined the conversation when somebody heard about a new bet. I'll take 1 week. 2 months? I'm being generous. I'll also take 2 weeks. More and more people joined. It was a common sight. She even participated in a few bets before. However, this time, they were talking about Bel. Why did her heart feel burned? Seeing everyone talking about a boy she, maybe, liked like this, was really uncomfortable. Ina. Miss He shook her out of her thought. That did it. She fixed the position of her glasses before she puffed her sizable chest and declared. I'll make him survive until old age. Because if she did not, that was her love that would die. She would make him survive no matter how or what until he could marry her. Ina blushed at the thought. Marrying Bel, maybe not in the near future. An older, rougher-looking Bel. She shook her head, only to see everyone looking at her weirdly. Everyone. How do we say this? Rosie started, avoiding Ina's gaze. Your declaration sounds ridiculous, but for some unexplainable reason, I couldn't help but believe it, Sophie sighed. Good luck, Ina. The crowd dispersed, leaving her with Miss He. Do you believe me too, Miss He? Ina asked after a few seconds. It's your eyes, Miss He smiled. I've never seen your eyes so fiery like that defending someone. She blushed. I couldn't help it. Everyone is underestimating Bel. Of course, I'm gonna defend his honor. They dispersed, and Ina prepared herself to leave the pantheon. Hey, Ina. There's something else I noticed that I did not bring up. Miss He asked after they clocked out for the day. That boy's face was red, indeed. But your own face is also red. Do you hide something from us? Miss He's grin couldn't be wider. Okay, this stays between us, okay. They decided to go to Ina's apartment for some private talk. Have you ever fallen in love, Miss He? Ina started after they arrived at her apartment. Whoa, slow down, Ina. What is this about falling in love? You couldn't seriously fall in love with your new adventurer, right? That's the thing, Miss He. Ina looked at her thoughtfully. I've never fallen in love, so I don't know if this is it. But when I looked at him, I instantly felt it, this one's for me. I felt like my heart shouted that. It doesn't help that he looks cute too. I don't know if this is love, but I am attracted to him. Oh my, I can't believe I lived in the time when Ina fell in love. Instead of helping with her emotion, Miss He relished the fact that Ina had fallen in love. Miss He. This was clearly a mistake. Inviting her here was a mistake. She shouldn't have talked about this to anyone. But wait. I know the guild doesn't forbid their employee from getting into a relationship with adventurers, but Ina, he is under your care. She was right. Belle was under her care. Going out with him would be a breach of her professionalism. It would be hard to separate their work from their personal matters. Ina buried her face in her palms. Oh, gods! This was too much for her. Miss He put a hand on her shoulder. I think we're jumping to the conclusion. Whatever will happen in the future, I think you need to get close to him first. You're his advisor. You have plenty of time to get to know him. Use it to decide the matter of the heart. Miss He ended her words with a wink. Thanks, Miss He. She resolved to treat Belle as professionally as possible. Whatever would happen in the future, she'd leave it to fate. In the meantime, she'd try to enjoy her time with Belle. Chapter 3. Belle went to the Pantheon the following day, as his advisor instructed. She met him, brought him to a private booth, and brought out a big book. Here, finish this book, and I'll let you go to the dungeon, Ina said with a serious look on her face. Belle waited for a bit to see if she was joking. Apparently, she wasn't. Miss Ina, can I go to the dungeon today? No. That was a quick response. Belle frowned. Miss Ina. I really need the money for something. Can you at least let me delve today? I promise I'll read this book tomorrow. But today, I really need it, he tried to reason with her. She looked at him before sighing. Let me at least tell you about the first floor. And no going further, got it? And so Belle spent the next hour listening and absorbing everything Ina told him. He knew it was dangerous, but apparently, the dungeon was very dangerous, especially to those who hadn't been fully accustomed to it. And now, Ina finished the first floor's quick cramming session with a question. The guild will loan you a weapon of your choice and defensive gear. Can you tell me what your preference is for both? A knife, and a chest plate, Belle nodded to himself. The payment for this will be taken from your earnings in the dungeon. Our interest rate is low, so you don't need to worry. Just be careful, so you'll come back. Belle nodded. I will come back to you, Miss Ina, he said with a smile. It took him several seconds to register his words. When he realized it, the half-elf in front of him reddened in embarrassment. Sorry. It's okay. Awkward. The tension between the two of them now felt really uncomfortable to him. Well, I should bring you the knife, and then you can go. Alright. After Ina left the room, Belle covered his blushing face with his palms. Oh no, I did something stupid. Get a hold of yourself, Belle. Soon, Ina brought the chest plate and knife to him. Belle put the chest plate and the dagger on his waist without waiting another minute. Ina smiled at him. You look dashing, Belle. He could only scratch his cheek in embarrassment. Thank you. I'll come back this evening, I promise. I'll hold on to that, Ina smiled, then her eyes turned sharper as she glared at him. But tomorrow. Yikes, Belle gulped. Well then. I'm off. Take care. It was later in the evening when Ina saw Belle again. His chest plate was dented in many places. His body was dirty, and some skin scraped in areas that hadn't been protected by the plate. However, there was such a big smile on his face. Somehow that image made him look dashing and handsome, straight out of a heroic tale. Ina couldn't help but sport a blush. Good evening, Miss Ina. I'm back. Good evening, Belle. I see that your first foray into the dungeon was successful. Welcome back. Belle nodded. Yes, I killed so many goblins, although I feel my time is wasted on getting the magic stones out of the corpse. Ina took another look at Belle. Miss Ina. Huh? Oh, nothing. Good work for today. Thank you, Belle smiled. Ina loved to see more of it. Somehow the air felt awkward. Do you have something else? Belle avoided her eyes. Miss Ina. Yes. When you're off, can we talk? I'll wait outside. Talk? He wanted to talk? He even was ready to wait until she clocked out. What would they talk about? Ina got a little nervous. Sure. Still, she'd face him with a smile even if she was in doubt. That was the least she could do for him. Time passed, and Ina's work was finished. When she went out of the building, Belle was there, waiting for her. Belle. His face lit up into a bright smile. Miss Ina. Good evening. Evening, Belle. You said you wanted to talk. Belle nodded. Would you like to go on dinner with me? He finished with a bow. Ina was taken aback by the question. She suspected that Belle fancied her, but she did not expect him to be so aggressive in pursuing her. Gods, she didn't even think Belle would be courageous enough to ask her out like this in public. Everyone outside the Pantheon was looking at them. In the corner of her eyes, she saw Miss Ha giving her 2 thumbs up and mouthing something along the lines of go for it. She didn't even approach her to help, the traitor. Miss Ina. Oh shoot, she had to answer him. Well, if they were talking about dinner with Belle, of course, she would accept. I would love to, Belle. Great. Please follow me, Miss Ina. I found a nice restaurant offering a private table. Wait, Belle. Her cries were ignored in favor of dragging her body across Orario to arrive at the destination. From the outside, it was a small restaurant. When she followed Belle inside, however, she found herself looking at quite lavish decorations. Belle talked to the waitress, and she led them toward a private table. Well, there were curtains around them to prevent anyone from looking at them, but aside from that, they were not really that private. Please order whatever you like. She looked at the menu and chose a modest meal. When the waitress went away, the two were left in an awkward situation. I'm sorry for dragging you like that, but I was really excited about this. Belle apologized with a sheepish laugh. When he looked so apologetic like that, she had no chance to be angry at him. It was unfair. It's okay, Belle. I was happy too. Her face went red when she realized what she had said. Oh no. She braved herself to look at Belle, whose face was as red as his eyes. Belle. Miss Ina. They spoke at the same time. You first, she offered with a smile. I like you. Please go out with me. Ina's jaw dropped. She hadn't expected Belle to be this aggressive. Inviting her to dinner and then taking the initiative. She thought she had to be the bold one, considering she was older than him. Now, how would she respond? It wasn't like she didn't like Belle. If the question was would she or would she not, the answer was definitely yes. However, should she? Like Miss Ha said last night. Going out with Belle meant she would mix her work with her personal life. Miss Ha's solution was to wait and see, and she agreed with Miss Ha. Belle's sudden confession threw a wrench in the plan. It seemed that she took too long to answer because Belle opened his mouth. But before Belle could say any more words, Ina cut him off. Belle, she started. I like you too. However, going out with me means I'm going to mix my work with my affection. Is that acceptable with you? In the end, she decided that being honest was the best approach. She had already accepted Belle's answer, whatever it would be. I will never not accept you, Belle stated firmly. Kya. She screamed inside her head. Belle looked so gallant, declaring his intention like that. Belle. She felt warmth enveloping her hands. When she looked down, she saw Belle's hands over hers. Miss Ina. She entwined her fingers with Belle's, gripping them gently. Even if Belle was younger than her, a man's hand was rough, so this was the difference between man and woman. Slowly, she closed her eyes and moved her head closer to Belle. She couldn't see it, but she instinctively knew that Belle did the same from the change in his grip. Belle's hands gripped hers even tighter. Her anticipation for the inevitable kiss was building up. And it burst forth when her lips met Belle's. Soft. She savored the sensation and the taste. The warmth she felt on the tongue. More. It was as if a switch was flipped in Ina's mind. She moved her tongue and tried to pry open Belle's mouth. She felt Belle's surprise at her action as he instinctively released their kiss. Flushing, both of them were panting for air, not looking at each other. Ah! I'm sorry, Miss Ina. I was surprised, Belle bowed. That is my first kiss, you see. He scratched his cheek and avoided looking at her. It was mine too. Ina admitted. Also, Belle, since we're going out, you don't need to call me with Miss again. I think. She saw Belle smile. Yes, Ina. I love him. She squealed inside her mind. The food came, and they enjoyed them. After that, they left the restaurant and parted ways, although not before giving Belle one last kiss to affirm their relationship. This time, she did not use her tongue. She assumed Belle wasn't ready for that. When she arrived in her room, Ina took her pillow and covered her face with it. I can't believe I lost myself in Belle's kiss. The young woman in love began replaying her memories in her mind. Touching her lips, the ones that had just been used to kiss her new boyfriend, Ina's face reddened in embarrassment. We're going to have more kisses. Ina couldn't help it. She excitedly kicked the air as she rolled left and right into the bed. Goddess, do you kiss with your tongue? Belle suddenly asked the question when he arrived at the abandoned church. What? Kiss. Belle nodded, ignoring the flustered state of his goddess. So that means the date was successful. Belle now has a girlfriend. Gya. Why can't it be me? He saw Hestia mutter under her breath. Seeing that he didn't get any answer from her, he came to a conclusion. Kissing did use tongue. He'd have to apologize to Ina tomorrow. Never mind that, Belle. Hestia grabbed his shoulders. Tell me you stopped at the tongue. Tell me you didn't go all the way. Belle blinked. I didn't go all the way? What does that even mean, goddess? Hestia immediately released him and did a jumping dance of joy. Is going all the way important for a couple? He voiced his confusion. Hestia froze mid-stance. She looked at him in disbelief. Belle, tell me something. Do you know what happens after you get a girl? Belle blinked. Living happily ever after. Legend said that Hestia's scream woke up half of Orario that night. Belle. Hestia shouted, grabbing the poor boy's shoulder. Have somebody explained to you about sex? Yeah, Belle nodded, to Hestia's relief. Grandpa explained how to conquer women. But I didn't pay much attention to it because I didn't want a harem like Grandpa. What does it have to do with anything? Hestia's relief turned into despair. Belle, what did your grandfather say about it? If you didn't pay attention, please remember as much as you can. Hearing Belle's explanation about what conquering women was, Hestia fell even deeper into despair. Belle's sex education was incomplete. His moronic perverted grandfather only explained the act and how pleasurable it was to women, and thus, the need to satisfy women. What about babies? Do you know how they're made? They're made? Belle asked with apparent confusion on his face. Hestia shrieked. In his desire to corrupt young Belle's mind, his grandfather skipped the most important thing about sex, that it was a way to procreate and continue the bloodline. What about the fact that consensual sex is the ultimate form of love? It is. The confusion on Belle's face made her heart anguished. But isn't it too demeaning to do it with the woman you love? Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Goddess. Belle. Hestia started after gathering her thoughts. Can you verbally explain how the act is performed according to your grandfather? Hestia's face had never been so red before in her life. Belle's view about sex was so debaucherous that she was sure if she couldn't detect a lie, she would never believe the words that came out of Belle's mouth. Seriously. She had even gained new knowledge about sex. She. The virgin goddess. Being taught about how lewd it could be from her innocent child. But the most important thing was, now, she understood. Hestia understood how Belle could have a disconnected view of love and sex. It was all because of his stupid grandfather. If she ever met his soul way later in Tenkai, she'd kick him hard in the nut for his stupidity. Goddess, are you okay? No, she was not. She really wanted to reply. Gripping Belle's shoulders tightly, Hestia looked him straight in the eyes. Belle, from now on, forget anything your grandfather ever said, okay? I'll explain to you better about sex. From now on, this is the correct definition inside your mind, okay? Why yes. Belle said, intimidated by Hestia's insistence. After that, Hestia gave Belle an entirely proper sex education. No practical. Even if she wanted to, taking advantage of him in this kind of situation wasn't proper. Hestia really wanted to laugh at the irony of a virgin goddess teaching her child about sex, but she couldn't. She was too angry at Belle's grandfather to do so. Hestia was a woman on a mission. After Belle confirmed the worst-case scenario last night, she couldn't just put it off anymore. The curse was really, really dangerous. To think that it would make Belle fall in love in just a day and be reciprocated by the soulmate. Well, if she were not in love with Belle, she'd be happy for him, but... Hestia sighed. Belle had just gone off for today, and she had a shift at the Jagamerican's stand in an hour. She had 1 hour free to do anything. And yet, why did her feet take her to the guild's building, Pantheon? Entering the building, Hestia scanned her surroundings to catch a glimpse of Belle's white hair, but she failed. Belle wasn't there. She approached a uniformed elf and asked. "Excuse me. Do you know a half-elf advisor? Her name is Deai. Ina." The white-haired elven woman helped her. "Yet. I know Ina. Is there something you need of her, Lady Goddess? Where can I find her? I'm afraid Ina is occupied. I believe she used a room to teach a new adventurer." Hestia's mind short-circuited. There was only one conclusion she reached when she compiled the information given to the presumed information about Ina from Belle. "That harlot is taking advantage of my Belle. I demand to see her now. Lady Goddess. I'm sorry, but you can't dash. Who knows what they're doing inside the room?" Hestia quickly tried to enter the hall but was held off by the elf staff. I can assure you, Lady Goddess, that Ina is a model professional. She would never take advantage of the work hour to play around." At that moment, Miss He, who stumbled upon the scene, blinked and grinned. "I don't know, Sophie." Ina was quite taken by this one boy. Maybe all the feelings she tried to suppress all her life would burst out. Hestia's eyes went hollow upon hearing Miss He's statement. Her body fell to the ground with a big thud. "Miss He. You're not helping. I'm sorry." 5 minutes later, Hestia regained consciousness. "Dwa. What? Where? Belle." What greeted her was the same elf guild staff that she had asked for information. "I'm sorry, Lady Goddess. Miss He is just joking. If you're really worried, I can take you to the private room where Ina and her adventurers are." "Thank you. And I'm sorry, too, for being hysterical. Belle is my first child, you see. And his eyes look so innocent, I'd hate for him to be taken advantage of." Hestia sighed. Just last night, she had to explain to him about sex properly because his grandfather was an idiot of the highest order. And then there was the matter with his blessing. Or curse if she'd nitpick. Her beloved child was cursed to have 10 soulmates, and he had no choice but to accept them if they ever met because otherwise, the soulmates wouldn't get to feel another love from someone else. And the most damning thing was Hestia wasn't one of them. It hurt. "Come on, let me help you stand up, Lady Goddess." The elf girl, Sophie, if Hestia remembered correctly, offered her hand. Hestia took it and stood up. "Thank you. Let me guide you to the room used by Ina." After 5 minutes of walking, Hestia arrived in front of the door. She anticipated hearing all kinds of noises, especially the lewd kind. However, there was none of that. Feeling curious, Hestia opened the door silently. "You repeat after me?" Goblins appeared on the dash. Ina was giving Belle a lecture, complete with several stacks of books on the table. Goblins appeared on the first until dash. And Belle was following the lecture faithfully. His gaze never left the visage of the half-elf teaching him about the dungeon. "Good. Next dash." Ina smiled at him, to which he bashfully replied with his own before they continued the lecture. Hestia closed the door without making any sound. "How is it?" Sophie asked her. Exhaling a long breath, Hestia shook her head. "They are really in love. Belle never gazed at me the same way he looked at that Ina." And she also replied in kind. "There's nothing else I can do, I guess. Ina tool. I'll approve as long as you keep Belle happy." Sophie just blinked at Hestia's declaration. "Wait, what?" That night, rumors about Ina dating an adventurer made their way to the guild staff's rumor mill. To Ina's shame, most of the rumors were dead wrong. No, she wasn't dating a level 5. No, he wasn't an elf or a dwarf. Wait, why did she have to confirm the rumors? Chapter 4. 2 weeks have passed since Bell gained his fauna. His progress in the dungeon was steady. He had already reached the 3rd floor and could handle himself alone there. Of course, that was mostly because of Ina's encouragement every day before he delved. The way she always said please go home safely whenever he was leaving ignited his heart with all the passion for killing monsters. Today was another day of killing monsters in the dungeon. His lesson with Ina covered the 8th floor, and Bell needed no refresher because he remembered everything Ina said without failure. That was, like, the basics of being a good boyfriend, courtesy of his grandpa. Ina was a bit surprised when she heard Bell telling her about that and asked for proof, and Bell recited the first lesson she gave him. Good morning, Ina. Bell greeted his half-elf girlfriend. Good morning, Bell. Excited for her today? Yes. How about we have a date tonight? Bell offered. It had been 2 weeks since they went out with each other, and so far, they had gone on 10 dates. Oh, Bell also learned to kiss with his tongue, but that wasn't important. Of course, I'd like to, Bell. Ina clapped her hands. I'm glad. See you later tonight, Ina. Bell. Come here. Ina called out. Bell turned his body back towards her and was surprised when she kissed him on the lips. This one did not use tongues, thankfully. Soon, she released the kiss and grabbed Bell's shoulders. Please come home safely, Bell. You woo. Full of energy, Bell ran towards the dungeon. The people inside the Pantheon continued their activities. Ina, please stop the lovey-dovey husband and wife act, would you? An exasperated Miss Ha tried to reason with her friend. At first, it was cute. But the more I see you with the rabbit boy, the more I'm envious of you. I want to have a boyfriend too. It was precisely what was inside everyone inside Pantheon's mind. The constant exposure to the lovey-dovey aura the two emitted made everyone crave the same things. Ina blushed when she realized her act of kissing her boyfriend was spectated by the entire building. I'm sorry. She bowed, trying to spare herself the embarrassment. But I'm really envious of you, Ina. To have such a cutie like Bell as a boyfriend. And there's also his progress in the dungeon. You're overseeing him, so you know better, but... Miss Him moved closer, whispering to Ina's ears. I've never once heard you raise your voice at him. You never chastise him. Ina shook her head. Bell is an attentive listener and understood all my lessons. Because of that, he knew the risk of going down further than he should. I have faith in him. Famous last words, Ina. Meanwhile, her boyfriend was standing in front of the stairs to the 5th floor. His mind was contemplating the decision to step his foot on the stairs. Should he? Ina did not forbid him to go down to the 5th floor if he was ready. And considering Ina's lessons, Bell was sure he was ready. His status was still H at most, but since he never forgot anything Ina said, Bell was sure he was ready. No, this decision certainly was not because he needed more funds for the upcoming date. Bell had enough money for a date. He was just playing safe. Yep. That was right, Bell nodded to himself. He could handle it. Mostly, probably, he didn't know. The more Bell stood there contemplating, the more his reasoning crumbled. And so he did the next best thing and stopped thinking. Let's go. Bell delved down into the 5th floor. Unaware of what would happen in the immediate future. Ace Wallenstein was running through the 5th floor. She was in a hurry because the Loki Familia unintentionally let loose a group of Minotaurs as they went up from the expedition. Thankfully, as they chased the Minotaurs, Ace and Bet, the two fastest members of Loki Familia, hadn't met any casualties. Arg! Ace heard a determined shout from someone in the dim-lit corridor. Ace picked up her pace and saw the last Minotaur chasing a white-haired boy. A rookie? Damn it, a rookie! Bet grimaced several steps behind her. She picked up the pace in the hope that whoever that newbie was, they'd survive. Once she was in the range, Ace quickly worked on the Minotaur, slicing its body into pieces. Ace flicked her rapier to get the blood off it and sheathed it. Her gaze then went towards the rookie it was chasing. His entire body was covered in the dark red of blood. Splashes from her attack? Ace frowned. She approached the rookie adventurer and kneeled near him. His hair was red, but it was clear that it was also from the blood of the Minotaur. The sides of his hair, clear of blood, had a snow-white color that caught her attention. Her eyes trailed downwards, fully absorbing the shape of his blood-soaked face until they saw his ruble-light eyes. Zing! A shock ran through her body. Are you okay? She quietly asked the boy. The boy nodded. Why yes. Thank you, miss. Ace Wallenstein. Loki Familia. She offered her hand to the white-haired boy. You are. Bell Cranel. Hestia Familia. Bell took the hand, and when they touched, Ace felt a warmth that she had never felt before. No. She had felt this before. Way back when her parents were still with her. Once the boy stood up, they released hands, and Ace couldn't help but stare at the gloved hand that just helped prop the boy up. She was wearing a glove. So did the boy, Bell. How did she feel such warmth? Mysterious. She wanted to know more. Thank you, Miss Ace. Am I too presumptuous? Bell averted his eyes in embarrassment. No, Ace shook her head. It's okay, Bell. GHK. Bell suddenly grabbed his chest and fell over. Startled, Ace quickly kneeled again to check Bell's condition. However, Bell shook his head. It's nothing serious, Miss Ace, it's just, you calling me honestly made my heart race. Bell laughed sheepishly at her. Ah! Somehow, the sound of his laughter was. Ace looked down at her chest. Soothing. Yes. That was the word she was looking for. Somehow, the sound of his laughter soothed her heart. Can you laugh more? Ace's mouth betrayed her and voiced her feelings. Bell blinked. His mind still needed to catch on to Ace's request. I want to hear your voice more. Bell's face reddened in embarrassment. Although, to Ace, it wasn't visible because his face was already red from the blood. Ha 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 ha, Bell forced a laugh, trying to suppress his cringe. However, it all washed away when a smile appeared on Ace's face. Thank you, Bell. It's nothing, Miss Ace. Bell scratched his cheek, only to find his finger scraped a splotch of blood off his face. Huh? I guess I need a shower. Bell's random statement caught Ace off guard, and she laughed. HNNNNGGGG. Her voice was really soothing. Bell clutched his heart again. Bell. Please laugh more. He requested with a smile. Well, what do I find here? Bet's voice entered the conversation. Ace couldn't help but frown at the interruption. She was having a friendly chat with Bell. A weakling who gotta be saved by Ace. Ace opened her mouth to say something to prevent Bet from going further, but she was too slow. That's right, you, a weakling. Bet approached Bell and leaned down, looking at him in the eyes. You'd better turn tails and never come here again. Ace wanted to punch Bet in the face. And not just because he interrupted her friendly chat with Bell. Bet and his betness just had to dismiss the white-haired rookie Ace found soothing. She turned her attention to Bell, now that she was too late to prevent Bet from saying anything. Bell's body was trembling. He clenched his fist and gritted his teeth. Bell. You're exactly right, Bell ignored her in favor of responding to Bet. Ha! If you realize your weakness, go away and never return. But Bell shook his head. Not that. You are right, I am weak. Because of my weakness, the people I love might feel grief if I ever lose my life. That's why. Bell looked the werewolf in the eyes, his ruble-light ones shining with determination. I will become stronger so that I will never worry my loved ones again. Bet was taken aback by the rookie's bold declaration. However, he got his bearings soon and scoffed. Big talk. But Bell ignored his slight and bowed. Thank you for telling me what I need to hear. Turning to Ace, Bell smiled. Thank you for saving me, Miss Ace. If you'd like, maybe we can meet outside the dungeon. Huh? You're trying to pick Ace up? Ha! As if that'd work. Sure, Ace replied, smiling back at him, to Bet's shock. Huh? His head was alternating between Bell and Ace. What? Ace. I'll follow through on that later. See you soon, Miss Ace. Bell waved as he left the scene. Ace raised her hand a little and waved back, making Bell stumbled one last time. Ace, what the hell? Bet started hounding the blonde. Why'd you answer that rabbit? Rabbit. Ace tilted her head. The white hair and the red eyes. Ace nodded. He looked like a rabbit, indeed. That rookie. Ace thought for an answer. Why did she agree to meet with him later? I don't know. Her hand went over her chest plate, pushing it to feel the beat of her heart. While her hand didn't feel the heartbeat, she could feel it beat faster when she was thinking about the meeting with Belle. Wait. Don't tell me you? Nah, no way, no way. The two went back to the Loki Familia expedition group, with Ace thinking about what she was feeling and Bet in denial about what was happening. There was no way, right? On the top floor of Babel, a certain goddess of love sighed. She looked around to find anything noteworthy but couldn't find even one that caught her attention. The hustling bustling city of Orario had millions of people, and none of them interested her. What was that? Freya's eyes caught something. A bright color. Oh Otterl! Come here with a paper bag. Just as she finished calling her captain, Freya couldn't hold it back anymore. She emptied the content of her stomach to the ground. The door to her room was opened in a hurry as the Boaz entered, bringing the item Freya asked him to fetch. Thank you, Otterl. Freya took the paper bag and hurled inside it. Otterl looked around, trying to find the source of his goddess's discomfort, but found nothing strange inside the room. After several coughs, Freya wiped her dirty mouth and stood up. Lady Freya, what ails you? Freya shuddered and rubbed her chest, trying to alleviate her nausea. After several breaths, she calmed down and gave her captain an explanation. I was looking around with my discerning eyes, trying to find someone noteworthy. It was then that my eyes laid their sight upon the most disgusting thing I've ever laid my eyes on in the lower world. Otterl prepared himself. If the soul was so disgusting, he didn't want to know what kind of personality that person had. It must be of great evil. And unlike the evil that helped him rise 7 years ago, this one must be really unforgivable. Freya's eyes met his. It was a soul so pink it made me nauseous and want to puke. She just did. I can stand it if it was my shade of pink, but no. Of course, it has to be the dumb shade of pink. Freya started ignoring Otterl's presence and ranted. Even Ishtar's pink is not as dumb as that. And besides, who the hell would charm a person entirely that their soul lost their original colors? Certainly not me. Sometimes, Freya was not self-aware. Please understand. Otterl let her lady vent her frustration. Discreetly, he signaled Alan, who was peeking from behind the door, to call for cleaners to clean the mess made by their goddess. Come to think about it. I haven't heard anything about Aphrodite coming in. That shade of dumb pink is definitely hers. Now that was an unexpected name coming from her lady's mouth. Aphrodite. Otterl never met her, but his time as Zeus Familia's challenger familiarized him with their god. Zeus had always mentioned Aphrodite, another goddess of love besides his goddess and Ishtar, as a dumb bimbo, but hot as fuck. Totally would bang her. Otterl mentally prepared himself for future confrontations with Aphrodite Familia. To be able to make Goddess Freya lose composure like this, they would prove to be a challenge for the other members. In the meantime, he would try to find out more about that pink soul that grieved his lady. Do you remember their appearance, Lady Freya? I will try to find more information about them. Freya stopped her rant and tried to remember the soul's appearance. If she recalled, the possessor was a he, and he had white hair. Baerg. Freya puked on the ground again. Lady Freya. It's no good, Otterl, even the slightest remembrance of the soul makes me want to puke. She just did. Then it's unnecessary for you to force yourself, Lady Freya. I will find out more about them alone. And no. If you really are curious about him, the least I can do is tell you that he has white hair. Baerg. Lady Freya. I am fine. She exhaled. If you find something, keep it for yourself, please. I don't want to get involved with anything about that pink soul. Otterl nodded. For his lady, he'd do anything. Freya wiped her mouth once more and sighed. It was a mistake to stumble upon such a disgusting sight. She hoped she would never see it again in her life. Maybe she could rest at the hostess of fertility. Yes. That would undoubtedly be the best decision. Teasing Ryu again might push aside the bad memories she had just experienced. Unfortunately, Freya forgot that even deities were subject to jinx in the lower world. Chapter 5. Guys, you won't believe what just happened. Ace was gah. Unfortunately, Bet couldn't finish his sentence. Ace wondered why as she stared at the body on the floor, her feet on top of it. The hell? I know some dogs need behavior training, but why did you kick Bet? Shin blinked as she looked at the weird situation. That's uncharacteristic for you. Oi! Bet shouted from the ground, growling at the insinuation from the long-haired Amazoness. Ace just averted her eyes. She couldn't say that she did not want Bet to loudly declare to everyone that she accepted Belle's offer. Sorry, Bet. But please don't say anything. Hi. Why the hell should I keep it a secret? What secret? Diona suddenly appeared and crouched. Come on, Bet. What is this secret about Ace? We'd like to know. Don't you agree, Leffy Ya? Being called out by her senior, the orange-haired elf squeaked and replied, I don't think we need to know, Miss Tiona. It would be rude to miss Ace. Come on, Leffy Ya. Have fun a little. Tiona patted the elf's back and made her stumble. Guy, sorry, Leffy Ya. Looking at the antics of her familia, Ace had a thought. Maybe they would know the reason she felt Belle's laughter soothing. After arriving at the Twilight Mansion, Ace could finally relax. Tiona invited her to shower together, and she accepted. Opening her clothes, Ace entered the communal shower and twisted the knob, letting the water soak her body. Her mind went back to Belle. Thankfully, Bet understood her and did not say anything on the way back. But Tiona was persistent and pestered her all the way. If her intuition was correct. Ace! Come on, tell me already. Her shoulder was grabbed by the short-haired Amazoness from behind. Ace felt her body being shaken by Tiona. There's nobody else here besides me, Leffy Ya, and Shin. Okay, Ace finally relented. It was her intention since the start, anyway. Stopping the shower, they moved towards the pool. After Ace found a place to submerge her body, she retold the meeting with Belle to the others. I saved a rookie from the Minotaur. It was supposed to be like usual. But when I looked him in the eyes, I felt something stirring inside my chest. We introduced ourselves and talked. I think I was having fun talking with him. Hearing his laughter is soothing. Ace unconsciously smiled as she recalled the event just a few hours prior. She completely missed Shin's jaw dropping in surprise, Tiona's squeal of excitement, and Leffy Ya's submerging her head in the pool to hide her scream. And then... Water splashed as Tiona scooted closer to her. Ace's smile turned into a frown as she remembered what had happened next. Bet came and being Bet at the rookie. I found myself angry at Bet for interrupting us. Hot damn, Shin commented as she got confirmation of her suspicion. Leffy Ya? Leffy Ya? Get a hold of yourself. Tiona dragged the unconscious Leffy Ya to the side of the pool. No good. She's passed out. Ace blinked at the situation. I think we should postpone the story so we can treat Leffy Ya. Next time, Ace. Shin helped her sister carry Leffy Ya as they left the pool. Hi. I was about to explain that Belle invited me to meet with him later. You're going on a date. Tiona. You idiot. Don't drop Leffy Ya's head. Ah. Sorry. I'll hear your date plan next time, Ace. Unfortunately, Tiona's voice was too loud for the situation. What? My Izu is going on a date. It caught the attention of the one Ace dreaded the most. Loki. Suffice to say, Ace wouldn't treat Tiona to a Jagamerican ever again. In AAAA. Belle shouted as he entered Pantheon, catching everyone's attention. Soon, however, they returned to their routine, as it was only Belle Cranel. I'm back. Welcome back, Beek. Ina shrieked when she fully caught the appearance of Belle. His entire body was bathed in blood. Whether it was his or monsters, Ina didn't know. If some newlywed wives usually offered a bath, dinner, or themselves, this time Ina put her feet down and declared to her boyfriend. Go clean yourself. Why yes, ma'am. Even Belle was cowed by the sheer authority in Ina's command. Once Belle finished cleaning himself using the shower in the Pantheon, he was taken to a private room for debriefing. Well, lovey-dovey interrogation might be the correct word instead of debriefing since Ina sat beside him, hugging his arm and burying her head in his shoulder. Are you okay, Belle? Yes, Ina. The blood was all from the Minotaur. Minotaur. Ina's head rose up as she looked at Belle. Her grip on Belle's arm tightened as she tensed. What happened? Seeing the worry on her face, Belle smiled. He was truly blessed to meet Ina. Unconsciously, his free hand rested atop Ina's head and ran through her silky brown hair. It was really smooth, and Belle found himself quite liking the sensation. And so Belle explained the unlikely encounter he got with the Minotaur and how he was saved by Ace Wallenstein after that. Ina. I promise you. I will get stronger. So wipe that worry from your face because I will always return. Belle finished his explanation by poking one corner of Ina's lip and lifting it upward. Ina's face turned red, and even her ears were red from the embarrassment. Belle. She pouted. That's unfair. Her expression turned serious. This time, it's my turn. She quickly grabbed Belle's shoulders and dragged him forward. Then, her arms snaked on his back. Her face was now directly on Belle's chest. All preparations complete, Ina launched her attack. She shook her head left and right on Belle's chest. Ahaha, Ina. That tickles. Mostly because Belle did not have any clothes on as they needed cleaning. He borrowed them from the guild, of course. But Ina stopped him from wearing his shirt. This is my payback, Ina said coyly. Okay, you win. Soon, Ina stopped and released Belle. He used the chance to put on his shirt. Ina. I know I promised a date, but can we postpone it? Instead, I want to invite you to the abandoned church. It took Ina several seconds to realize the implication. Belle was inviting her to his place. What should she do? What should she do? It had been more than 10 dates, so she was ready for the inevitable. But... She lied to herself. She wasn't ready at all. Ina? Did you not want to, after all? Should I invite you somewhere else? And no. It's okay, Belle. I have to prepare myself. Ina bowed a little as she put her finger together, trying to stave off her nervousness. Belle blinked. Are you sure? Coming straight after your shift ends is okay, you know? I'm sure Goddess is already there. We're going to have an important talk, after all. Ina froze. Important talk. Marriage. She shrieked inside her mind. She wasn't ready at all, she wasn't ready at all, she wasn't ready at all. Being at Belle's side as his wife. Her mind wandered into various potential futures. Evening, Ina. What's for dinner today? Work keeps me later than usual. I only have time to quickly make spaghetti for us. I hope you're satisfied. Since it's yours, of course, it'll be delicious, Belle gave her a smile. By the way, are the kids still with Goddess Hestia? Yep. Both _ love Lady Hestia. Calling her granny and all. Wait. Something was missing from the delusion. What were the names of their kids? Belle, what would you name our kids? Excuse me. Huh? Did I just say something? You said something about kids. Belle turned his head to avoid looking at her, scratching his reddened cheek with a sheepish laugh. His eyes, though, kept glancing at her. Ina's face turned into a tomato. Not wanting Belle to see her embarrassed face, she used both hands to cover it. W1T you look away, please. HNNNNGGGG. Belle clutched his heart. Too cute. Ina was too cute. And never mind that. Ina tried to change the subject. If you want me to come without too much preparation, then it's okay. Belle smiled. I'm glad, Ina. Thank you. Incidentally, what kind of important talk are we going to have? She quickly assumed it was marriage and even had a delusion about her days with Belle as her husband. Kya. No good, Ina. She shook her head. Focus. But from Belle's body language, it wasn't about the sacred union between men and women. Belle let out a long breath. Ina, he said while looking Ina in the eyes. Be a dump. Ina's heart skipped a bit when Belle did that. My goddess and I have to discuss something with you, and it's not in your capacity as our familia's advisor. Rather, it is about the future of our relationship. It really is about marriage. Ina shouted inside her mind. Ina took a breath to calm herself. After a while, she smiled at her boyfriend. Understood, Belle. I'll come tonight. Great. See you tonight, Ina. Belle quickly left the room running. Looking at the dashing figure of her boyfriend, Ina sighed in contentment. After a few seconds, she realized something. Belle! Your dirty clothes! She shouted to Belle's attention, but he was too far to hear her voice. Looking at the dirty clothes in her possession, Ina huffed. What should I do with this? She blinked. Should I? She hesitantly thought. At that moment, desire won against love. Slowly, she brought the clothes closer to her face. Oh goodness, Belle's scent! Sniff! Mhaaa, she exhaled loudly. The smell of sweaty clothes from Belle's hard work was enticing. Her nose did not even register the disgusting smell of the Minotaur's blood clinging to the clothes. She just over-focused on the sweaty parts. She did it once more to savor the scent. HNNGGGH. Again, at this moment, desire won against love. So what Ina did next was obvious. She grasped her belt buckle and quickly opened them, sliding her pants down. Unfortunately for Ina, there was something that triumphed over desire. The door to the private room was knocked on by someone. Ina. Are you inside? I saw your boyfriend running out, so I thought your consultation session was over. Professionalism triumphed. Ina squeaked when she realized what she was about to do and quickly slid her pants back up. She threw Belle's clothes on the sofa and tried her best to fix her appearance. The door was opened, and Rose came inside. Ina. Ah, Rose. What seems to be the matter? Remmer is calling you for something. Is that so? Thank you for the notice. You can go on first. Rose looked at her with suspicion. Are you okay? Definitely. The red-haired werewolf shrugged. If you say so, she remarked before leaving, closing the door in the process. Ina sighed, her body limp on the sofa. That was too close. That's not good, Ina. All the talk about marriages riles me up. Restrain yourself, Ina. She gathered the dangerous items that almost cost her her dignity in her co-worker's mind and put them inside a bag. She'd bring it to Belle later tonight. Hopefully, Belle would leave her another next time, especially in a private setting. Chapter 6. Belle, what the heck? Hestia shouted in surprise when she updated Belle's fauna for the day. What happened, goddess? For in Belle's back was etched another name. Skills. Deep affection. Ina tool. Ace Wallenstein. Phileas freeze, rapid growth. Continued affection results in continued growth. Stronger affection results in stronger growth. More affection results in more growth. Aside from a new name and deep affection, Belle also got a new skill. Phileas freeze. Thankfully, it had a description this time. Judging from the description, the skill was broken. Never mind the continued and stronger affection. The fact that more affection resulted in more growth meant that the more girlfriend Belle had, the stronger he would be. Add the previous two, where Belle surely wouldn't stop loving them, and the love would grow stronger over time. It was, to say the least, a recipe for disaster. Should she show this to Belle? Hestia hesitated. While she had no intention of keeping any secret from her first child, her beloved child, she wasn't sure if showing him this would be the correct move. Who was to say Belle wouldn't use this as a pretense to look for more girlfriends immediately? She still hadn't coped well with Ina's existence as Belle's girlfriend. There was no way she wanted to have more and more girls clinging to Belle. Yes, Hestia nodded to herself. It would be better if the world, read, Belle, did not know the truth. She copied Belle's status to a sheet of paper, but she blurred out the new skill to conceal it from him. Sorry, Belle. It's for Orario's sake. You got a new name. Hestia tried to sound fired up. This Ace Wallenstein. How did you meet her? And why didn't you report anything to me? Belle laughed sheepishly, trying to avoid the topic. Sorry, goddess. It slipped my mind. The preparation to host Ina here took my mind. Indeed. The two had just finished tidying the church for Ina's arrival. Even though Belle cleaned his parts with a big grin, Hestia did not have the same enthusiasm that Belle had. Mostly because she was still jealous of the half-elf. Why did she have to host her? Wait. Wait a minute. The wires on Hestia's brain connected as she realized something. She knew why Belle suddenly wanted to invite his current girlfriend here, specifically tonight. Belle. Have you talked with Ina? She questioned. This time, Belle's attempt at avoiding her topic wasn't even subtle anymore as he pretended not to listen to her and pointed to the ceiling. Ah, I haven't cleaned that part. Belle. Did you invite Ina here to talk about your second soulmate? His scheme was found out, and Belle immediately bowed to his goddess. Goddess. Please help me explain to Ina about my soulmates. If it's you, I'm sure Ina would believe you. Hestia sighed. She should have known. All right. I'll help you. Belle's face rose up and formed a big smile. But only this time. The smile immediately turned into sad, kicked puppy eyes. It almost crumbled Hestia's resolve. Almost. But she cared for Belle too much, so she told Belle the next thing. Next time, it's up to you, Ina, and whoever this ace is to explain things to your new girlfriends. Yes. Thank you, Goddess Hestia. You're the best goddess. As it should be, Hestia preened. There was a knock on the church's door, and Belle ran to greet who was supposed to Ina. Hestia used the short time alone to think. She hid Belle's skill from him. But if it did exactly as it described, then she was very sure that his growth would raise questions from other jealous adventurers and their deities. What should she say to them? She honestly had no idea. A skill that translated love into exelia? Who would believe that? Actually, it might work. The fact about Belle being powered up by the power of love sounded so ridiculous it became an acceptable answer. Yeah, they would think she was probably lying, but once they saw Belle with his girlfriends, the sight would lead them to question themselves. Was Hestia lying? It was perfect. As expected of herself. Soon, Belle entered the basement with his half-elf girlfriend in tow. Belle had a smile on his face, as usual. He was happy that Ina had come. Said girlfriend, however, looked horrified at the place she had entered. Her head paced around, trying to absorb the sight of the run-down, abandoned church that it was. Belle, do you really live in this kind of place? Somehow that statement hurt Hestia more than the fact that it was Belle's girlfriend who said it. Yeah. I know it's not the most amazing place, but it's home. Even Belle replied with a wince. Would you like to stay with me? Wait. Hestia needed to do something before the situation became bad enough for her. Before she could do anything, however, she saw Belle shaking his head. I'm sorry, Ina. While I'd really love to, if I stay with you, Goddess would be alone. Hestia's heart melted. Be-yol. Unbeknownst to her, the same thing happened to Ina. HNNNNGGGG. Both women clutched their hearts, trying to keep their beating heart calm. After a few seconds, Ina nodded while fixing the position of her glasses. Understood. Then I would offer the same to Lady Hestia. Would you and Belle live with me? It's not a big place by any means, but it's definitely better than this junk. Yes. This junk. Hestia was torn. On one hand, she wanted out of this place. While she would always thank Hephaestus for her generosity, this property required a major overhaul, but Hestia was too broke to even think about fixing it. On the other hand, living with Ina meant she partially blessed their relationship. Sure, she didn't mind and accepted her as Belle's girlfriend. But blessing their relationship? Big no. She still wanted that slice of pie. But, looking at the blushing face of her child, Hestia couldn't help but open her mouth. Fine. But no being frisky in my presence. Either do it when I'm out or inform me if you want to do it. At her mention of illicit acts, the two blushed so hard steam could be seen coming out of their head. Belle because he remembered Hestia's lesson about how a proper relationship should be, while Ina because of what she was about to do this afternoon. Gee Goddess! Lady Hestia! For that instant, their coordination surpassed any adventurers. Seeing the two being that red, Hestia couldn't help but chuckle. All right. I'll stop. Please take a seat, Miss Advisor. Ina mumbled thanks before she sat down on the torn sofa. So what are we going to talk about, Lady Hestia? Belle said it is important for the future of our relationship. Ina inquired, wanting to sate her curiosity. Hestia looked at how giddy she was at the word future, and she immediately glared at Belle. What sort of thought did he put on Ina's mind regarding this talk? Could it be that half-elf was thinking about marriage? Marriage with Belle? This soon? No way. Definitely no way. Goddess. Belle trailed off, expecting her to start the explanation. Miss Advisor. I will start by saying that please don't interrupt my explanation. That goes for you, too, Belle. After that, I promise to hear your response. Is that understood? She saw Ina nodding at her, so she continued. First thing first, I have a copy of Belle's status here. Please take a look. Hestia handed Ina the status sheet she used to show Belle A's name. However, to Ina's credit, she did not immediately take the paper off Hestia's hand and instead shook her head. It's better to keep it secret from me. I trust Belle's judgment when he says he's ready for any floor. Hestia sighed. It's not about that, Miss Advisor. Please take a look at Belle's skill. She forcefully handed the half-elf the paper and pointed at the skill section. Belle has a skill called Deep Affection, which lists the name of his soulmates. Yes. Soulmates. You are among them, but so does 9 other girls, Hestia started, gauging Ina's reaction. So far, the girl did not look annoyed or surprised. She was surprisingly calm. Today, Belle found out that he has another soulmate. One Ace Wallenstein. Ina's eyes narrowed, and she glanced at Belle, who looked down and avoided Ina's eyes. Man up, Belle! Hestia screamed in her mind. Now, that's the gist of it. Anything that the two of you talk about, you can do on your own. It's outside of my jurisdiction as Belle's goddess. I'll go somewhere. Hestia left the room and went outside. She needed a drink. Maybe Hephaestus had one? Once Hestia left the room completely, both Belle and Ina went silent. Sorry. Belle bowed towards the half-elf. Even though you're my girlfriend, I didn't say anything to you about my skill. Ina frowned. I can't exactly say that it's okay, Belle, but I won't judge before I fully hear your explanation. I need to know. How did this happen? Belle then told Ina about his encounter with the spirit of love 1 year ago. How he freed it from a seal, and it granted him 10 soulmates. Once his soulmates meet him, they wouldn't be able to love anyone ever again. You're the first one I met, Ina. I showered you with my love hoping that my skills did not pick any other girls before we established a strong bond at the least. But the situation says otherwise, Belle winced. Also, because I'm afraid that you won't accept me if I say I'll have more girlfriends in the future. Standing up from his bow, Belle looked Ina in the eyes. If you don't want for us to continue, I will accept ga. Cough, cough. Belle coughed up blood, kneeling on the ground. Belle. I am sorry. It's just. Imagining a life without you hurts me, Belle replied, wiping his mouth. Oh, Belle. Ina sighed happily. I won't leave you just because of this. But we have to discuss the future of our relationship. Agreed. Ina helped Belle stand up and guided him to sit beside her. Thank you, Ina. I love you. HNNNGGG. I love you too, Belle. Ina. Belle. Their face got closer to each other. Slowly, their lips touched. Each of them savored the taste of the other's kiss. They had done this many times before, but each kiss was still special to Belle. 20 seconds passed before the two broke the kiss. Gasping for breath, Belle gave a smile to Ina. So, do I have permission to ask Miss Wallenstein out? Ina sighed. You have. But I don't think asking the Sword Princess is that easy. She's known to have rejected over 1,000 confessions, she revealed trivia to Belle. I don't know, Belle shrugged. If we take you as an example, I think she'd fall in love with me too. But that's just me hoping the best for the situation. Okay, Ina accepted. She grasped Belle's hand in her own and stared at him. Whatever you do, I'll be beside you. Belle just replied with a tightened grip on his hand. Loki stared at the new thing written on Ace's back. Her jaw dropped in disbelief. Sure, with several prods, Ace told her about what happened in the dungeon with her new acquaintance. But when Ace entered her room to update her fauna, she had never expected this to happen. Skills. Deep affection. Belle Cranel. So, Loki did the next best thing and shriek. It is said that her shriek spooked most of the Twilight Manor residents. But that was a story for another time. We're meeting this Belle Cranel from Itty Bitty Familia first thing tomorrow. Ace blinked before the weight of what Loki said registered in her mind. You remember Belle's name? How could I not? Loki retorted incredulously. Meanwhile, Ace was just happy that she would meet Belle sooner than expected. Chapter 7. Ina Tool was reviewing some important documents for the guild. Last night, she and Belle had a long make-out session that almost went to the next step. The two stopped themselves because she didn't want her memorable first to be on top of a torn sofa in a run-down church, while Belle wanted to clear the air with Ace Wallenstein first. Belle's decision should have hurt, but Ina did not feel any pain at all at Belle's decision. Strangely, what she felt was understanding and sympathy. What if she wasn't Belle's first girlfriend? It was just a coincidence that she met Belle first. Although, after he confirmed things with the Sword Princess, Ina would definitely ask him for it. Somebody called out to her as she separated the documents according to their category. Ina, you're the advisor for Hestia Familia, right? It was Sophie. Yes. She replied to the white-haired fellow guild staff. Lady Loki is looking for Hestia Familia, and she inquired to me. I think you're better suited to answer her. Loki? Ina raised her eyebrow. What did she want with Hestia Familia? Did Ace Wallenstein declare her undying love for Belle Cranel to her or something? Everybody knew her favorite child was Ace Wallenstein because she was beautiful and strong. Scratch that. Loki had a lot of favorite children by default. She wouldn't march to the Pantheon first thing in the morning and ask for Hestia Familia if Ace didn't do something drastic. She tried to remember if she had done anything drastic after she caught Belle's eyes. Nope. Nothing drastic. I'll be there, Ina replied to Sophie. She forgot that the night after she met Belle's eyes, she told the other guild staff she'd guide Belle to survive until old age. But, well, there was no need to remind the clueless girl of her own embarrassing moment. Tapping her feet in a rhythmic hurry, Loki wished that the guild employee come faster. She wanted to meet this Belle Cranel, damn it. Preferably without itty-bitty there to show off her chest too. Beside her, Ace sat down calmly on the sofa inside the private room lent by the guild. Unaware of her goddess agitation, this was what she was thinking. I want to see Belle again. He is cute, like a rabbit. His voice calmed my heart. I'm hungry. Where is Jagamerican? See? Ace was calm, unlike the goddess beside her. Thus, when the door was opened, and a half-elf entered the room, Ace just took a glance while Loki stood up and pointed out. You're not itty-bitty. Of course, I am Ina Tool, Belle Cranel's guild advisor. It is nice to meet you, Lady Loki. Good morning to you too, Miss Wallenstein, Ina bowed towards both of them. I have sent a message to Hestia Familia. They shall come here shortly. In the meantime, I shall assist in whatever you need. Oh, you're Ina's daughter, Loki nodded, recognizing the half-elf. No need. I want itty-bitty fast. Can you fetch me some Jagamerican? I have the money. Ina and Loki stared at the taciturn blonde. Right. We can do that. Please wait a minute, Miss Wallenstein. Ina left the room, most probably to buy a bag of Jagamerican as Ace requested. Izu. This is an important matter. Loki begged the half-spirit child. Your foulness suddenly registered Belle Cranel under your new skill, Deep Affection. Please be serious about this. But I'm hungry. Gah. Whatever, Loki sighed in exasperation, even though it was her fault they left the mansion without breakfast. 5 minutes later, Ina came back with a plate full of Jagamericans. Ace's eyes turned into stars as she gasped at the steam from the potato-based snacks. It was fresh out of the frying pan. Thank you, Ace said seriously before quickly demolishing the stacks of Jagamericans into oblivion. Sheesh, Ace really did love the snacks, Loki thought. After Ace finished the last crumbs of the Jagamerican, the door to the room was opened, and Ina came again, this time with Hestia and her child. About time, itty-bitty. Well, sorry that some of us need time to look beautiful. That was straight to Loki's confidence. Ignoring the two's barbs, Ace looked at the white-haired boy that came with them. Belle Cranel. She waved her hand with a smile on her face. Belle clutched his heart again as he fell to the ground. That broke the two goddesses' argument. Belle. Itty-bitty, what happened with your child? I am sorry, goddess. Miss Ace is just so cute. My heart can't handle it. Belle said to his goddess. Hearing that admission, A's cheek unconsciously reddened. Her hand moved towards her heart, trying to understand her feelings. What was happening? Why did her heart beat faster than before? Why did her face feel warm? That's right. Loki pointed towards the white-haired boy. You. How the heck is your name in Ace Fauna? Belle blinked. Hestia sighed. Ina faked a cough to get everyone's attention. Shall we move to the table for a civil talk? I'm sure Belle and Lady Hestia can explain. Fine, Loki scoffed and sat down. Hestia and Belle followed suit on the opposite side while Ina stood behind them. So, what the hell is this? Loki slammed the table with a piece of paper. To be precise, it was a partial copy of A's status sheet. It denoted the skill section where one was named Deep Affection, with Belle Cranel under the skill name, while the rest was blurred to keep Loki Familia's privacy. Hestia looked at the paper, pinching her temple as she sighed. Belle. Try to do it on your own. Of course, I will back you up as your goddess. Why yes, Belle nodded reluctantly. He glanced at the red-haired goddess but flinched from the glare she gave him. Ace opened her mouth. You can do it, Belle. Belle sucked a breath before he looked Loki in the eyes, this time with no fear. Ho, Loki said as she observed the boy. You're not afraid. Miss Ace encouragement gives me the strength to face you, Goddess Loki. Hestia facepalm, while Ina sighed. You don't just blurt your intention towards the in-law, Belle. Loki narrowed her already slanted eyes. Spill. So there I was, a 13 years old infatuated with the idea of finding the one for me. Countless girls in my village had rejected me for one reason or another. My grandpa told me that there's a shrine of a goddess of love near the mountain. I thought, why not? Belle shrugged his shoulders before he continued. When I arrived there, I found that the shrine was abandoned. I looked around, only to find nothing interesting. It wasn't until I picked up a stone that a sudden light blinded me. When I opened my eyes, a spirit calling itself a spirit of love came out and talked to me. It said that I freed it and blessed me with the ability to find my soulmate via eye contact. Loki suddenly interrupted. I call bull. But for some reason, you didn't say any lie. I know, right? Hestia joined. The thing is, it didn't stop there, Belle sighed. The spirit blessed me with 10 soulmates. And as you can surmise, Miss Ace here is one of them. No way. Yes way, Hestia retorted, placing Belle's status sheet on the table. It was the same one she used to show Ina last night, so the other information was still there. Cut her some slack. This fauna thing was new to her. Oi, you sure you'll show me this one? You can have one that can only show the skill like my own, you know. Uncharacteristically, Loki did not pick a fight with Hestia this time. I don't know how, Hestia winced, waiting for Loki's laugh. However, she didn't hear any derisive chuckle coming from the flat-chested goddess. Instead, she found Loki being absorbed by the status sheet. It's identical to Ace's skill. So he really is the cause. She heard the other goddess mutter. Moreover, those stats, oi, boyo. Yes. How long have you been with Hestia? 2 weeks, Belle replied, knowing that Loki could probably perceive any lie. Guy. How the heck did I miss you? Loki shook her head, never mind that. What say you join me next year? The offer was a lucrative one. A promise to join Loki Familia at the fastest he was available. While Loki regretted that she missed him at first, there was always a chance next year. However, to Loki's surprise, the boy shook his head. No, thank you. I tried asking to join Loki Familia, but the guards turned me away, Belle shrugged. No offense to you, Goddess Loki. I'ma give those guards the cleaning duty for all their lives. Loki screamed inside her mind. To think she missed a chance to get this boy because some of her third-class adventurers deemed it so, it was humiliating. She was the goddess. She was the one who had the right to accept or reject any applicants. Still, Loki thought. It was worth asking him just to see the worry on Hestia's face. Even though joining me means I'll bless your union with Ace. Belle took a deep breath. I'm sorry, Goddess Loki. While I am not 100% sure, there is a big chance that in the future, my soulmates will come from familia other than you. As you can see on the paper, the first soulmate I meet is Ina here, he gestured at the standing half-elf, who bowed in acknowledgement. Loki gaped when she finished rereading Belle's status sheet. You. To think you'd get little in it too. The boy only laughed sheepishly. That does it. There's no way I'll leave Ace Heart to you. Loki pointed at Belle, declaring her verdict. For a few seconds, there was only silence. It was broken by Hestia, who gasped after seeing something. Oi, Loki! Tone down the selfishness, will you? Look at your child, Hestia pointed toward the only blonde in the room. Ace kept silent as Loki interrogated Belle. However, when her goddess said that she wouldn't leave Ace Heart to Belle, for some reason, Ace felt something uncomfortable bubbling inside her chest. She didn't know why. Ace didn't understand what was happening to her. But when she imagined she wouldn't meet with Belle again, her eyes suddenly felt wet. Everything turned blurry. Huh? I don't understand. Ace Wallenstein did not understand her feelings at all. But even so, she understood one thing. I want to be with Belle. She heard Loki gasp at her but couldn't see anything as her sight was blurry. Wipe out those tears, Miss Ace, she heard a gentle voice as her eyes were wiped by someone else. Belle? She asked, wanting it to be him. Yes, Miss Ace. Once her tears were wiped, she fully saw the ruble-light eyes of Belle Cranel. Someone who intrigued her. Someone who soothed her. Someone who calmed her down from the ever-present need to push herself. I cannot become your hero because I am your mother's hero, her mind suddenly remembered a voice from the distant past. It will be great if, one day, you also find your own hero. Looking at the tender smile on his face, Ace had to wonder if this was what his father meant. Her own hero. Belle Cranel. Without saying anything, Ace pushed her head forward, locking her lips with Belle's own. She ignored the distraction from around her. How Loki shrieked like a banshee and goddess Hestia too. At that moment, in her mind, there was only Belle. NGH, she moaned when the warmth hit her all at once. Belle's lips tasted better than any Jagamerican's. Stop! 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 Loki tried to separate the two, but a base human strength like her would never be able to overpower Ace level 5 strength. How lewd! Hestia covered her eyes with her palm. Although she still saw from the gap between her fingers. This was just an observation. Yes. This was nothing scandalous. Ina only had a smile on her face. They released the kiss after 20 seconds. Belle scratched his cheek while looking away from Ace gaze. Cute. And tasted better than Jagamerican. Not as filling, though. Ace wiped her lip with her thumb. The act did not escape Belle's sight, who blushed when he saw Ace looking at her wet thumb. Then, to everyone's surprise, Ace licked her wet thumb, tasting it. Ace. Blinking, Ace looked at Loki. It tasted good. HNNNGGGGG. Both Belle and Ina had the same reaction this time. Ace was too cute. Loki sighed and glanced at Hestia, trying to see what she was feeling, only to find her meeting eyes with Hestia. I've been there, Loki. Twice. And I have to brace myself for 8 more. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you have my full sympathy, Hestia. At that moment, a new relationship between the two rivals was born. Ace. Look. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean to make you unhappy. I was just angry at the situation, Loki said to her child. I couldn't make the boy join me, and I don't want you to leave me either. Actually, Goddess Loki. If you don't mind, what about us staying in our respective familia? Belle offered a solution. I will never leave Goddess Hestia, and Ace won't leave yours. I think it's the best way. Actually, Belle Cranel. I've realized something. Why do you think I will approve of your relationship? Loki questioned. That's the impression I got when we talked just now. Belle blinked. Ah, he grimaced. I forgot to add one more thing the spirit said. I don't know if this will be real, but the spirit said my soulmates would never love any other man ever again because now their fates are linked with me. Loki gaped. Say it from the start, ya idiot. She sensed no lie. Either Belle really believed it, or it was true. Loki was a free-spirited goddess, she knew herself. She might even play favorites with her children. But that didn't mean she didn't love every one of her children equally. She wanted to see them at their best, so she never stopped anyone from growing. If what Belle said was true and Ace would never give her heart to anyone else, then who was her to stop her favorite daughter from having a relationship with him? Fine. If Ace is happy with you, then I approve of your harem. Belle winced. Please don't call them my harem. I got reminded of my grandpa's dream for me. Whatever, Loki scoffed. Just one thing, though. Ina, please draft a contract between Loki Familia and Hestia Familia. Upon seeing the terms offered by Loki, Hestia corrected some things to make things favorable to her and Belle. The result was as such. Belle Cranel and Ace Wallenstein are free to have their relationship. Belle Cranel and Ace Wallenstein are free to bring anyone from Familia other than Loki into their relationship. Belle Cranel needs to have blindfolds on when he visits Loki Familia. Failure to do so will not break Ace Wallenstein's relationship with Belle Cranel, but Hestia Familia needs to pay a fine for the heartbreak goddess Loki will suffer every time her children are taken away from her by Belle Cranel. The amount of the fine is tentative and can be discussed further. Members of Loki Familia need to have blindfolds on when they visit Belle Cranel. Failure to do so will merit punishment from goddess Loki. In the probable future, Loki Familia will get the first daughter of Belle Cranel's union with members of Loki Familia. The first son between Belle Cranel and Loki Familia members will go to Hestia Familia. In the event that Belle Cranel has more children with members of Loki Familia, the decision for the Familia will be left to the children. The two goddesses put their signature on the contract, witnessed by another guild staff as Ina was an involved party. After that, Loki left the scene, as she wanted to make amends with Ace by allowing her to deepen her relationship with Belle. Hestia also left, citing that her shift at the Jagamerican stall was coming up. That left only 3 people inside the room. Ace, Belle and Ina, who was still there because, technically, her business wasn't over, looked at each other. So, does that mean you agree to become my girlfriend, Miss Ace? Ace pouted. You call her without Miss. Belle and Ina looked at each other. Then, Ace. The girl only looked down in embarrassment. Belle. HNNNGGGGGGG. Miss Wallenstein. Is it too presumptuous if I call you my sister now? We both love the same boy, after all. We ought to help each other. Ace thought for a second. Sister? That was nice. She had Tiona, Shin, Aki, Alicia, and the other girls. But they were all her sisters in terms of Loki Familia. What Ina wanted was a sister in arms in loving Belle. Slowly, she nodded. Big sis Ina. Ina clutched her heart as she fell down to the floor. That was too cute. It was a crime how cute Ace was. Ina exhaled as she stood up. That was straight to the heart. Isn't that right, Belle? Ina looked around only to see Belle lying down beside her, his arms also clutching his heart. Belle. Belle. Anyway. Ace finally joined the Cranel family. Welcome, Sword Princess. Chapter 8. Entering the Twilight Mansion, Loki slammed the door behind her, catching everyone's attention. Loki. Shin asked after seeing the scowl on Loki's face. Gather everyone. I have news and a new rule. 10 minutes later, all the free Loki Familia members were gathered in the lounge. Most of them were whispering about what was happening when they saw Loki sitting on the sofa, strangely calm instead of her usual exuberance. Where is Miss Ace? Leffy Ya, who came with Elfie, asked around when she found no golden hair amongst the gathered. What seems to be the matter, Loki? Finn finally asked the goddess after everyone gathered. After this, we are going to parade around the main street as usual before exchanging our loots. Wait, if I remember, you left with Ace for some errands, right? Gareth continued. Where is that girl? Settle down. Once everybody was silent, Loki stood up on the sofa, making herself visible to everyone. From now on, all the girls are forbidden to interact with Hestia Familia, specifically Belle Cranel. You must wear blindfolds to cover your gaze if you absolutely need to interact with him. Failure to do so will merit punishment from me. Finn, procure a bulk of blindfolds for all the girls. That got everyone to react. But before they could voice anything, Loki continued. Oh, right. Who were the gate guards around 2 weeks ago? Raoul raised his hand. If I remember the roster, it's Jim and Martin. You remember right, I signed the document. Finn supported Raoul's statement. Something wrong, Loki? Where are they now? The Loki Familia members looked at each other when they realized the two mentioned weren't there. Not here, apparently, Finn answered for everyone. Why? Put those two into cleaning duty for 2 years. And never assign them to gate guard duty ever again. No, 2 years is too much. Make it 1 year. You're all dismissed. Finn, Riveria, Gareth. With me. Loki left for her room, leaving her Familia members to discuss among themselves. What was all that about? Did they do something? Them again? But only one thing was in Lefia's mind. Where is Miss Ace? She mumbled to herself. But apparently, the resident chipper Amazon heard her words. Oh, right. You were unconscious. If I remember Ace's story, Belle is most likely the name of Ace's boyfriend. You know, the one Loki mentioned just now, Tiona casually revealed to the orange-haired elf. Thud. Lefia. Elfie shouted in worry at her roommate. Tiona, you idiot. I didn't do anything this time. When Riveria entered Loki's office together with Finn and Gareth, she didn't expect to see Loki was already on her second bottle of wine. She was hugging the bottle, lying down on the sofa with tears in her eyes. Mama. Your daughter has grown up. She blinked when Loki suddenly shouted. What? She looked at Gareth and Finn, trying to see if they understood what their goddess meant. Unfortunately, both of them were on the same page as her. What do you mean, Loki? Finn asked. Is it related to Belle Cranel? Izu got a boyfriend. It took Riveria several seconds to digest Loki's words. What? Who? When? The three asked at the same time. That cursed be damned Belle Cranel. Why do you think I made that announcement? Wait, hold on, Loki. You still haven't answered when. Apparently, yesterday. I prodded Ace for the story she was telling the twins and Lefia. Turns out she met a boy and wanted to know him better. When I updated her fauna last night, suddenly, Ace had a new skill. It's called Deep Affection and has no description other than Belle Cranel's name. Of course, I brought Ace to meet with this Belle Cranel. I don't want to say anything about him, but in the end, things happened, and Ace initiated a kiss with him. Ace. The airheaded girl who probably doesn't even understand loving the opposite sex. She kissed him. Riveria gasped. To think the taciturn girl she raised turned out to be quite aggressive, where did she go wrong with her? And so, what do Ace and his boyfriend have to do with banning every girl from meeting him without blindfolds on? Oh, that. The boy is blessed to have 10 soulmates. Ace is one of them. To prevent my girls from being taken away from me, from now on, no girls can meet eyes with Belle Cranel. I even signed a contract. Loki threw the paper for Riveria and the others to see. Finn quickly nabbed the paper from the air and took a look. It's actually an excellent deal that benefits us, provided that the blessing is real. He passed the paper to Riveria, who nodded upon reading the contract. You cover your bases from all sides. Although, do you really want the first daughter and not the son? Well, they won't grow up to be beauties, won't they? Gareth laughed. Figures. But what do Jim and Martin has to do with Ace and her boyfriend? That boy approached Twilight Mansion 2 weeks ago but was turned down before even meeting me. Ah, Finn winced. While Loki wasn't the type to hold a grudge against her Familia members, the consequence of rejecting Belle Cranel unexpectedly reared its head a few weeks later. Jim and Martin were simply unfortunate. 1 year is still a long time, don't you agree? Finn tried to bargain. No matter what, the two were still under his command, and he was responsible for ensuring they learned from their mistakes. Fine. Loki shouted in frustration. 6 months it is. You won't hear me complain, Finn nodded. Pushing her wasn't the right move after the first time, especially when Loki was in a foul mood like now. Anyway, I'm saying this to leave you with the responsibility of telling everyone that Ace has a boyfriend. I'm gonna drink myself away in sorrow. Dismissed. The trio of Loki's earliest members looked at each other before nodding in silent understanding. They left Loki alone to cope with losing Ace's affection to another guy. Once they closed the door, Riveria grabbed her temple and sighed. What did that girl get us roped into? Now, Riveria. You always want her to grow up and abandon her revenge. Maybe this Belle Cranel can do it, Finn tried to console the high elf. Maybe you're right. I am just frustrated that because of the contract, I can't judge Belle Cranel fairly since one of us had to close our eyes with blindfolds. Ever the overprotective parent, huh? Gareth jabbed at her. Eyes can tell your intention if you look closely, she retorted, defending her statement. And I want to see this Belle Cranel's intention with Ace. Tonight, we'll celebrate in the hostess of fertility as usual, remember? You can interrogate him later. Just have Ace invite him. Gareth tried to offer a solution for Riveria. The door behind them suddenly opened, and Loki's head came out. I forgot to say, Riveria. But Belle Cranel's other soulmate is in a tool. Bye. Loki slammed the door. Finn and Gareth remembered the name Tool. It was the name of the guy who charmed Riveria's former handmaiden and childhood friend. The two quickly connected the dots. Wait. Don't be hasty, Riveria. We haven't bought any blindfolds. Did you guys think I'd march to Belle Cranel? Riveria sighed. I'm getting his account from Ina. She then left the mansion, presumably to visit Ina, and asked her about Belle. The two breathed a sigh of relief. Then, I'm gonna check the inventory, Gareth waved. See you guys later. Finn was left alone. It took him a second before he realized one important thing. Wait, did I just volunteer myself to tell everyone that Ace has a boyfriend? Belle opened his eyes to find himself looking at an angel. A golden-haired angel was looking at him with a smile on her face. You've woken up, Belle. It was Ace. And if he was correct, she was giving him the legendary service. A lap pillow. Grandpa talked so much about this that Belle subconsciously wanted to know how it felt. He never expected to get it this early. Belle focused all his attention on the back of his head. It was soft but not squishy. Ace's thigh muscles were firm, a testament to the effort she spent on the dungeon. And yet, despite the firmness of the muscles underneath, the top of her thighs was still soft enough that Belle felt comfortable leaning into it. If I knew you're doing this, then I wouldn't wake up, Ace. His words sent Ace into a blushing mess. Belle's words are dangerous. He then stood up from the lap pillow that Ace had just given him. So long, legendary lap pillow. I wanted to spend more time with you, but alas, I have to become a good boyfriend for Ace. May our paths cross again. Where is Ina? She's working. Right. As a guild staff, Ina was busy. He would make it up for her later tonight. For now, he'd dedicate his day to Ace. So, Ace. What do you want to do? Personally, I want to know your favorite spots in Orario because I only came here 2 weeks ago and haven't got time to explore. But if you want to do something else, I'm fine. I'll be doing it with you, after all. Ace nodded. Okay. The two then left the Pantheon to walk around Orario. The two walked side by side at a leisurely pace, taking sight of everything that passed their eyes. Where are you leading me, Ace? Jagamerican stalls, Ace answered as they reached one of the Jagamerican stalls in the city. If he remembered correctly, Hestia had a part-time job on one of them. Welcome. What is your order? Wait, Belle. And Wallenstein. They arrived at a stall run by Hestia by coincidence. Coincidence, he was very sure. Maybe. Probably. Belle looked at Ace, who still had the usual stoic look on her face. Hello, Lady Hestia. Don't hello me. You're here to torture me, right? You're going to be all flirty with Belle like here's yours, Belle, in front of me. Hestia pointed to the blonde in anger. Ahahaha. You're exaggerating, goddess. Ace isn't like that. Right, Ace. Belle tried to mediate. Without waiting for Ace's reaction, Belle quickly turned his attention back to the goddess. But that's actually a nice idea, goddess. Thank you. Gyaaaaaaa. Hestia grabbed her own twin-tailed hair and pulled them in frustration. After a while, the goddess sighed and conceded. Whatever. What do you want to order? 4 Jagamerican please. 2 red bean fillings and 2 green tea fillings. Hestia packed Ace's order and received the money from Ace. Thank you, Lady Hestia. Please don't start getting all flirty in front of me. Ace nodded. We'll move away first before I fed Belle. You don't have to tell me that. Hestia quickly retorted as the two moved away. See you later, goddess. Don't steal any more hearts today. I still haven't recovered. Belle only laughed. A while later, Ace brought him to another place. This time it was on top of the wall. A secluded spot that brought forth tranquility to the morning hustle and bustle in Orario. Here, Belle. Say ah. Ace offered him one of the Jagamerican. Belle sweated. Ace really did it. She really offered to feed him the Jagamerican just like what Hestia imagined. His heart wasn't ready. And yet he knew that distracting her would do her a disservice. Who knew how Ace was feeling at the moment, and she still did it without any embarrassment. He needed to man up and take it all, just like what Grandpa said. Belle opened his mouth and bit the Jagamerican in Ace's hand. He chewed the potato-based snack and savored the mix of salty and savory potato combined with the sweetness of the red bean paste. Once Belle swallowed the food, Ace quickly asked his verdict. How was it? It's good, but it became even more amazing because it's from you. Ace averted her eyes in embarrassment. Belle used the chance to steal the Jagamerican on Ace's hand and offered it to her. Now it's your turn, Ace. Say ah. What Belle didn't expect was to see Ace pouting cutely at him. No fair, Belle. HNNNNGGGGG. If only Ina was here, they could share the brunt of the cuteness together. In that instant, Ace quickly pounced and ate the Jagamerican from Belle's hand. Not keen on ending it at that, Ace licked Belle's finger clean of any crumbs and oil. Belle was too stunned to do anything other than let her do as she pleased. Once she finished, Ace got away from Belle's body and took more Jagamerican from the paper bag. The distance between them now allowed Belle's mind to proceed. You're the one being unfair, Ace. She just smiled. Want more? No, thank you. I've had breakfast, and I'm still full. But the room in my stomach may be empty if you feed me again, Belle fired back. As long as you, too, feed me again. They spent the morning feeding each other Jagamericans. Unfortunately, Ace had prior business with her familia in the noon, so they had to end the morning date. Ace invited him to Loki Familia's celebration, which would happen tonight, though, so Belle was happy. He could even bring Ina to the same place later. What was the name again? Hostess of Fertility? Sounded like a fancy place. Which meant he'd need to rake in the money from the dungeon. Floor 5, here I come. Ina, Sophie came to her again for the second time that day. Lady Riveria is looking for you. What did you do? Ina blinked. Lady Riveria did? I don't know. Let's go. The two quickly returned to Riveria, who was waiting in a private room. I'm sorry it took a long time, Lady Riveria. Ina bowed towards the elf princess. What can I help you with? Sit down, Ina. Thank you for fetching Ina, Sophie. You may return to your task. After Sophie left, Ina looked at the sitting royalty, who was sipping a cup of elf pure water. The guild did keep a bottle for such occasions. How are you, Ina? And what about Aina? I'm good, Lady Riveria. As for mother, she's still sick, but nothing phases her as usual, Ina answered. Her mother believed that love trumped all, which was why she agreed to marry her father, a human. Considering that she was previously Lady Riveria's handmaiden, it was quite the downgrade in lifestyle. However, she still did it anyway, in the name of love. Ina didn't understand what her mother meant before. But now, she thought she was beginning to understand her mother's stance by going out with Belle. Love was powerful. She should be mad at Belle for not telling her about his soulmates thing, yet she didn't. She surmised that it was because she loved him, and he loved her. He might love someone else, but his love for her was never in doubt. It was just that he also loved other girls. The term love blinds people now had an obvious example, thank you. Please understand. Thankfully Ina's prescription didn't get worse. I'm glad that Aina is her usual self. But I'll get straight to the point, Ina. I heard from Loki that you have a boyfriend, Riveria started. And your boyfriend snatched Ace's heart. And now he's going out with the two of you. Please be honest, Ina, is he a cheater? Because honestly, the whole blessed by spirit nonsense is unbelievable. What kind of spirit blessed someone to have 10 soulmates? Ridiculous. Well, apparently, a spirit of love. It fell under its domain. Not that Riveria knew about it, of course. Ina couldn't help but frown. Even if the woman in front of her was someone she respected, to hear her disrespecting her boyfriend like that was painful. I'm sorry, Lady Riveria. But Belle isn't like that. Whatever you think about Belle is wrong. He is amazing. And he didn't cheat on me. We talked about it before I gave him my permission. As for the spirit thing, well, I agree that it sounded far-fetched, but I truly fell in love with him at first sight, Lady Riveria, so I don't doubt Miss Wallenstein's love for him or his love for Miss Wallenstein. Ina replied firmly. Ah, it seems that I've offended you. Please forgive me. The half-elf blinked. Eh? What? No, no, you didn't offend me at all, Lady Riveria. Riveria gave a small laugh. You don't need to be courteous. If you don't like me saying bad things about your boyfriend, just say so. Ina blushed. She gave a quiet nod. Please don't say bad things about Belle before meeting him, Lady Riveria. Hearing that, Riveria let out a sigh. That's also what I want. I want to assess him with my own eyes. But Loki formed a contract that said the woman in our familia can't meet eyes with Belle. Ina laughed awkwardly, remembering the scene from just before Loki and Hestia made the contract. I think Goddess Loki is just worried. She couldn't cope with more members falling in love with Belle, so she put a preventive measure. Putting aside the matter of his situation with Ace. Ina, I don't doubt your love for him. But is he treating you right? Riveria asked her in worry. I've heard many relationships can be toxic, in which one party loves the other, but the other didn't treat them right. Ina shook her head fervently. No, no, no. Belle is a gentleman. I feel like a princess when I'm with him. The dangerous one was Ina, but don't tell her something she would deny. Riveria backed down with a smile. Good, then. Since Ina isn't here, I'm worried you fell into the wrong crowd. And Riveria wondered why people loved to call her Mama. I guarantee you, Lady Riveria. Belle is a charming gentleman. I'll take your word, Ina. Riveria stood up. I think that's enough from me unless you want to say something else. Ina shook her head. Thank you for visiting me, Lady Riveria. Mother would love you to send longer letters to her. I'd try to. Good day to you, Ina. Good day to you, Lady Riveria. Riveria left the private room. Ina's account of the boy painted a nice gentleman whose love was overflowing. While she promised Ina she would take her word, it wouldn't stop her from interrogating him later, preferably without blindfolds, so she could meet eyes with him and ascertain the truth in his eyes. Chapter 9. Belle stood in front of the hostess of fertility. Taking a breath, he prepared himself for meeting the rest of Loki Familia. Ace invited him to their celebration, and he was honestly nervous about meeting Ace Familia. Would they accept him? Would they dismiss him? Belle shook his head. No matter what, he'd fight for Ace's hand. That was his resolve as a boyfriend. Putting on the blindfold he had brought, Belle tied it with a double knot to prevent any accidental happenings. Satisfied with his work, Belle took a step on the front stairs. Unfortunately, Belle forgot one crucial thing. He should have entered the establishment first before putting on his blindfold. The result? Thud. Belle fell down face first on the floor, catching all the patrons' attention inside. Embarrassing. In his embarrassment, Belle decided to not move. If he moved, he would catch more attention. He was very sure of it. The commotion caught the attention of the waitresses. One of them was Sir Flava. What seems to be Mat Ryu? Please take over for me. The grey-haired woman quickly went to the toilet and slammed the door behind her. Ryu looked at the retreating figure of Seer, wondering what had happened with her friend. She quickly turned his attention towards the front door, where a guy was not moving on the floor. The elf approached the fallen body and questioned, "Are you all right? My pride is in tatters." The white-haired boy on the ground trailed off with a fake sob before he shook his head. "Thank you for asking, miss. I'm sorry, I can't see with my blindfolds on. Why are you wearing it in the first place?" Ryu wanted to ask, but she held herself back. First off, it would be rude. Second, it wasn't any of her business. So she just answered. "Ryu Lion. A waitress here." "Thank you, Miss Ryu." The boy smiled as he extended his arms. Ryu unconsciously grabbed them and helped him stand. The weight of what she did only crossed her mind seconds later. She widened her eyes, looking down at her hands. That was... She didn't realize that she had been holding hands with someone. And she couldn't blame the boy either, as he was wearing blindfolds and couldn't see that she was an elf. It was an honest mistake from her side of things. It's my job as the waitress here. No need for thanks. Can I help you with something? How many people are coming with you? I shall escort you to a table. Ah, can you direct me to Loki Familia's table? Ryu blinked. You are a member of Loki Familia. As rude as it was, she had to say that the guy did not look the part. And Loki Familia stuck with one another whenever they had celebrations. No, no. I'm from Hestia Familia. However, I am invited by Ace. Hestia Familia? Ryu couldn't say she had ever heard about them. A new familia? Wait, did he just say he was invited by the Sword Princess? Very well, Mr. Belle Cranel, he smiled, although he directed that smile to the air because he couldn't see her position. Mr. Cranel. I shall escort you to Loki Familia's table. Several steps later, Ryu and Belle arrived at the Loki Familia celebration. As usual, Loki was drowning herself in alcohol while Lady Riveria was graceful in her celebration. Ryu's eyes looked toward the golden-haired girl. Ace Wallenstein, she said, approaching the Sword Princess with Belle behind her. I have someone for you. Good evening, Ace, Belle greeted. Which would have fared better if he had faced the blonde-haired girl properly. Ryu sighed and corrected his body position so that he correctly faced Ace. Well then, if you need anything else, you can call for us, Mr. Cranel. Have a good night. Ryu left the scene to look for Seer. She seemed to be in a hurry. Seer, are you okay? She was resting in one of the free rooms. Hi, Ryu. I'm fine, just nauseous. Mamma Mia had excused me for the night. Do you need to be escorted back to your place? No need. I can do it alone. And besides, you think Mamma Mia will let you do it? Ryu thought for a second before realizing that, no, Mamma Mia wouldn't. Well, be careful, Seer. Don't worry, Ryu. Now, go and continue your work without worrying about me. Ryu left the room still with worry in her heart. But what else could she do? Ultimately, she put the matter about Seer in the back of her mind and continued working for the night. After the elven waitress left, Ace couldn't stop the smile on her face. Belle came. He was here with her. Although the blindfolds kind of made him clumsier if the way he greeted air was the sign of things to come. Belle. She greeted him back. You. Loki pointed at Belle in frustration. What are you doing here? Miss Ace boyfriend. Lefia, too, somehow was as heated as Loki when she saw Belle. Tomato Rabbit. A drunk bet also followed the other two's cue. Ehehe, I was invited by Ace this morning. Loki looked at Ace as if she was betrayed. Instead of exploding, Loki decided to sigh and drink from a bottle. I'm gonna do my best to forget your existence. Just remember the contract. Let's go. Ignoring her goddess, Ace stood up from her seat and guided Belle to sit beside her. Come, Belle. Let's sit down. Thank you, Ace. Once he was seated, Ace offered him a drink, which he accepted. Thankfully for Belle, it wasn't alcoholic. How was your day, Belle? After we parted ways for the day? I went to the 5th floor and got scolded by Anna, Belle laughed sheepishly. Ace frowned. I know we met there yesterday, but Lady Hestia said that you joined her 2 weeks ago. It's dangerous, Belle. Ahaha. I know, Ace. But I have to do it, Belle declared passionately. He then leaned forward, a hand near his mouth. Before he could say anything, Ace had to direct him so that his head faced her ear. Don't tell Anna, but I'm planning a date for both of you. Ace's eyes widened before a smile suddenly appeared on her face. I'll hold you to it. Thank you. Ace then took a snack from the table and held it for Belle. Open your mouth, Belle. Ah. Ace fed Belle just like they did this morning. Again, Ace told Belle. Ah. Yum, but this time, instead of feeding him, she put the snack in her mouth. Delicious. No fair, Ace. Belle pouted. What is this feeling? Ace thought to herself in confusion. Must protect that cuteness at all costs. Ace grabbed her chest and inhaled. HNNNNGGGG. Uwaya, I can't hold it back anymore. Captain. Please do lovey-dovey act with me too. Shin suddenly shouted and grabbed Finn, trying to force her way. Unfortunately, he was still stronger than her, so her attempt failed. No can do, Shin. Bell muttered, turning his head. Should we stop? Silly, I'm not Ace, Tiona laughed and directed Bell's head to Ace. Don't mind Shin, she's just jealous she couldn't get Captain Finn. You continue your flirty ways with Ace. Thank you, miss. Tiona. Tiona. Right. I can't see you, so I don't know how you look, but I guess you're Miss Shin's sister. Got it in one. We're twins. Twins, Loki familia. Ah. Hormungand and Amazon. Bell nodded to himself. Amazing. Nyeh, we're not that amazing. What's with the sudden humble act? Shin retorted. Hey. It's not every day Ace boyfriend praises us. Tiona replied in defense. We literally met today, stupid. Never mind the two, a regal voice cut them off and caught Bell's attention. I am Riverialjo's Alf. I have a question for you, Bell Cranel. What is your intention towards Ace? Even without seeing the scene, Bell felt the serious intention behind her words. He gulped. He had a feeling if he answered wrong, his body might not survive the night. Riveria Ace groaned. I want to hear it straight from him, Ace. Miss Riveria. Bell said, catching their attention. My intention with Ace is to love her every day for the rest of my life. Bell said, full of confidence. The table fell silent. Holy shit, the kid has balls, Bell heard an unfamiliar voice break the silence. Ha, I wish I had a boyfriend like Ace, another voice commented. Captain. Please declare your eternal love to me, too. Shin shouted towards the captain again. Bell. Ace had a smile on her face. I see, Riveria responded to Bell's declaration. However, I can't help but doubt your declaration when you also have Ina as your girlfriend. The table fell into another silence. Kid is two-timing Ace. Balls of steel. I take my words back. I don't want a boyfriend like him. How could you do that to Miss Ace? Riveria. Ace growled a little. Riveria just had to do this. Don't bring big sis Ina into this. If it weren't for her permission, I wouldn't even be able to date Bell. Kid has permission. Mad respect. Kya. Miss Riveria, Bell said, I can understand your worry. You thought that I wouldn't dedicate my heart to Ace fully because I'm torn between two girls. But you see? Instead of dividing my 100% love between Ace and Ina, I've decided to use all my might to love each of them 100%. I'd love them all equally, even if I had to split my body. Hearing such a declaration from her boyfriend, Ace couldn't hold back anymore. She grabbed Bell's shoulder and forced him to face her. Without saying anything, she cupped his cheek and shoved his head toward her. Lips met lips as the two lost themselves in the kiss. Uwaa! How bold! Tiona covered her face but took a peek through her fingers. Thud! Lefia! Riveria was left with her jaw on the ground from Ace aggression. Once the two separated, Bell was left as a blushing mess, not from the kiss itself, but from where they did the kiss. Was Ace not embarrassed? Said girl couldn't hear Bell's thought and instead wiped her lips with her thumb and sucked the saliva off them. She blinked when she felt everyone's stare. Her eyes then caught the still body of Lefia. Why is Lefia unconscious? Is she drunk? Riveria let out an uncharacteristic chuckle. I understand. I shall concede, Bell Cranel. Ace truly loves you. Come on, everyone, leave the two lovebirds alone. What lovebirds? A drunk Loki slammed her head on the table. I ski nothin'. I think Loki had the correct mindset here, Finn chuckled. Captain. Kiss me too. No. I'm open to sharing you with others. Finn sighed. Bell Cranel, what have you unleashed? I'm sorry. On top of the Babel Tower, the goddess Freya laid down on her bed. She was still a little nauseous from the previous encounter, but now it subsided. Otterl. Call Helun here. Yes, my lady. 5 minutes later, Audible was back with Helun beside her. What can I do for you, Lady Freya? Please sub in for my shift at the Hostess of Fertility starting tomorrow. I don't think I can go there for a little while. Helun nodded. It will be done, my lady. Thank you, Helun. You know how Mamma Mia is if Seer skips her shift without any information, right? Yes. She kneeled before leaving the room. When the two were alone, Audible questioned. Was that the correct action, my lady? Helun shared my senses and feelings when she's transformed. While she didn't cherish Ryu and the others like me, she'd understand my feelings when she's transformed. She can replace me as Seer there for a little while. Freya sighed. I can't, my last bastion of safety is breached. To think that disgusting soul would enter the Hostess of Fertility, it was careless of her. She should have done more to prevent such things from happening. Audible could only do nothing as his goddess sobbed. I think I'm gonna take a break and focus on internal matters. Audible nodded. I'm sure everyone would be overjoyed, Lady Freya. Thank you, Audible. She would do anything. Anything. Just to get the disgusting sight out of her memory. Surely, the paperwork would distract her from that soul.